What is up, Project Xers? After I finished wrapping up the videos for the Amazon domination videos, listing all those products, ranking in Google, Mike and I started talking, and we wondered why you couldn't actually do this with eBay as well. And I think this is really going to help set OMGX apart from all those other Amazon products out there right now that are charging crazy money for. Because you're going to enlist the power of eBay as well. Why not have an Amazon listing plus an eBay listing plus maybe YouTube, Weebly, whatever. I mean, you can really dominate the first page with your product and really not give Google searchers a choice as far as what they're going to buy. So with that being said, I want to in this video show you how I actually set up my eBay listings, and a trick I learned that increases conversions by probably about 400%, 1-to-4 ratio. So let's jump right into it and head over to eBay. Now what I've got here is basically when you sign up for a seller account. Here, let's go over that first. You can sign up for a seller account, set up an account. Just set up an eBay account, go to ebay.com, set up an account, confirm that your name and address you have on file is correct, confirm your phone number, set up an automatic payment method, which I suggest PayPal. I don't see why you wouldn't. You could use a credit card too through eBay, but I just set mine up with PayPal because it's best to have a PayPal to get paid anyway. I'm sure most of you already have one. So that link is up here. It is pages.ebay.com/help/sell-get-started.html, and then you can just click here to set up a seller account. So that's it as far as actually getting your account. You can get up and running probably in a day or less, which is a little quicker than Amazon, which is why I actually started with eBay, because the barrier to entry is a little lower. So once you get set up in eBay, you log into your account, you click, it'll be up here at the top, you click sell, go to a listing, and we're going to continue with the same one as the Amazon example we used, which is the 350Z cold air intake. So we'll just type that in. Get started. Yeah, and they're pretty good about determining what category it needs to go in. So click that. Go down here, click continue. Compatible parts, we don't need that. Alright, and then title and everything, we're just going to have the exact same thing as last time. So we're going to go to this one that we copied and pasted from Amazon. And they've got a bunch of extras. I typically don't do this. Maybe if I have a website, I'll say go here for a new, or for the latest, coupon codes and stuff like that. But you could do that if you want to pay 50 cents extra. Condition is new. We don't have a manufacturer part number, so I'll just use the same one as last time. CAI-1001. You don't really need to fill this out. Warranty, if you have one. Surface finish, you'd say painted, polished, whatever it is. Click that. I'll go to add photo. See if I can drag this in, I'm not sure. Let me pause this for a second and go grab this photo. Alright, I'm back. I just uploaded that, And we've got this crappy picture. Of course, like I suggested before, just go over to Fiverr and get one made up that looks pretty good. Or if your supplier has one, use theirs. That's about it for that. Upload. They don't have the restrictions like Amazon does. Now, where do we go? In here, I'm going to paste what we had before, except with eBay, if you paste it with the standard on, you can always go through and alter it with the HTML, but typically it'll take over the styling itself, so you can go ahead and style it in Word and just copy and paste it over. Let me make that. And we won't worry about putting the applications on here right now. So, got that. We're going to copy it. Paste it in. Might make that text a little bigger. Hang on a second. Delete this. We're going to go in here and make this text a little bigger. That way it'll look better in the listing. 18, 16 will do. Copy it back in. Looks like it didn't copy this up. Well, it may have. We'll hit that on the preview and make sure that copied it over. But let me show you a little trick on how I was able to increase. I did some split testing not too long ago with a product I was already selling. I had a listing on here. It was doing okay, but I wanted it to be better. So I thought to myself, I wanted to do some split testing. So I listed a separate one. Of course, I had to come up with a different description, different picture, everything like that. But I added a YouTube video in here. I'll show you how I did that. And I was selling the new listing 4-to-1 over the old listing. So let me go ahead and show you how to do that. You want to go to YouTube. I picked out just a general, video since this is an example. Embed. You want to go down here, and you can't use the iframe. eBay won't let you use any kind of a JavaScript or iframe or anything like that. So you go down here, use old embed code, and it takes it to object and whatever, all this code. So you want to take this down to whatever size you want it, copy it, go back over to eBay, click up here to this tab. See if I can zoom in for you. Yeah. This tab that says HTML, we're going to put it above everything. So I'm going to center it with this old code, because you see over here they use all kinds of old code on here. So all the HTML buffs, please don't hate on me at all. It's how I have to do it. Copy your code in there, and that should be in there. Yep. So you can add a promotional video right into eBay, and like I said, 4-to-1 over the original listing that I split tested with. It really helped. Like if you have an installation video, you can list something and just stack authority on top of each other, and make a video that you're going to rank, you're going to shoot links to, and link it back to your Amazon and your eBay listing and whatever other web property you want to rank for. So you could easily do that. Your authority stacking, your trust building, you're doing everything that you need to, that we cover in Project X. And really, that'll help you dominate the first page. So here, I like to bump up the quantity to at least 10 or more, especially if you need it in stock. You don't want to sell it without having it, but as long as your supplier has a bunch of stock, then I would just bump that up to 10 or more. You can always go back in and adjust it. The buy it now price, we'll list it at the same thing we did before, 199. Let's see. And here's another important part. Since you're ranking it, you want to go to good till canceled. That way you're going to keep the same link until you cancel it or you sell out. So just make sure if your quantity's getting low, you can just log back in and click on it and then change the quantity. So good till canceled. It's very important that you do that, or else you're gonna get one to the top. The URL is gonna change once it runs out of time. Then you're gonna have to just do everything over again. So this will save you a lot of time. Let's see. I've got my PayPal in here. Let me go ahead and pause this again. Alright, I just scrolled past it. Don't want to throw out my personal email to everyone, no offense. But as far as shipping, you can do calculated, cost varies by location, or you can just do, if you want to do free shipping, if your margins look good enough, I mean, that really entices people to buy. So that's what I'm going to do here. As long as you're still making money on it, I say go for it. For some reason people expect free shipping nowadays and everyone else is doing it, so if you don't offer it, it kind of hurts you. So that's what I'm going to do there. We don't need this. We shouldn't need this. We're going to go ahead and enter in some data just so, even though we're providing free shipping on this, just so it doesn't hold us up. Return policy, sure. And we're going to continue. Oh, we missed something. Let me pause this again because I'm going to have to scroll back past that. Back, I just had to choose how it was going to ship, which I just picked UPS. That's typically how most of my items ship. So here you can see what your item is going to look like in the listing when you search for, say, on eBay, 350Z, cold air intake, all that good stuff. Let's see if we have a preview button down here. See what the listing is going to look like. So you just got the typical eBay listing. You've got your YouTube video in here. All this stuff, specs. Yep, and our bullet points carried over. You could probably make that look a little better if you wanted to work at it a little more. Of course, you could just put this as a list too. And another cool thing, if you're decent in HTML, is you can put image tags in here, so you don't have to pay eBay extra to list extra images. You could just put them down here. Wrap your text around it, all that good stuff. And you could probably put that in WordPress and I just copy it over. I haven't tried that though, so I usually just do it in Dreamweaver. So that's our listing. And then only other thing we would need is to actually get our link. So let me pause this, jump over and find a good product, and I'll show you how to get that link just like we did in Amazon. Alright, we're back, and I just pulled up the 350Z intake page. I'm going to just click this first one here. You've got ebay.com / the item name / number. What we're going to do is cut off after this number, delete everything, hit enter, and I'll copy that so you can see it better. So as you can see, we've just got eBay.com item, item name, item number, and this item number is why you want to list it as good till canceled, because if you list another item, it's going to have a different item number, and so therefore it's going to have a different URL. But just take this link right here, plug it into GSA, or use it with your Fiverr gigs that we showed you earlier, and that's it. You can have your eBay listing and your Amazon listing on the first page and really start to dominate. I mean, add a YouTube video, the sky's the limit. So that's it for this video, and I'll talk to you soon.
Mike wanted me to cover, and then we'll just go into a free-for-all kind of question and answer kind of thing to see what you guys want to talk about, what'll help you most. So I figure that's the best way to run one of these. So on this calculator, I added this into the Project X blueprint that Mike had put together. That's got a lot of different tips and tricks and of the trade that they've been going through with putting together for Project X and everything else. So basically, I just threw this in. This is kind of the poor man's method to be able to rank. For those of you that are in Amazon, or you're trying to rank a citation, or they work on YouTube videos. Although I think you need a lot more juice for some of the YouTube videos as opposed to some of these, but the method works overall. And so in this document, I just kind of walked through the steps. Hopefully you guys have seen this. I'll drop this into the chat so you guys have a link to it if you are interested in going to it and reading more on it. So basically, this is just the poor man's way. This is mostly what we had covered, I think, a Webby or two back. Where there's some people had more questions on how to do some of the Fiverr gigs and things like that. So I just want to make sure that I kind of wrote this down a little more organized for you guys, so you can kind of follow along. But it's all the way at the very bottom, and it takes a while to load. So you guys are welcome to come in here. It goes over basically what I was talking about the other week. This one of the extra things I put in just for some clarification. That one Fiverr gig would only do one URL at a time, so I made sure to put in I put in a couple of my other Fiverr gigs I really like to use to boosting for the tier 1 links. So there's some stuff in there, and then how you can go in and find some of this stuff by searching for bookmarking for those that aren't familiar with going through the Fiverr process. Threw that in for you people that aren't familiar, and this is kind of like an overall picture of basically what's happening with how that's going to work. So with your citation Amazon URL, you're going to just find that URL, then you're going to go into your Fiverr gig, order up those tier 1s and 2s. Once you get those URLs back, then you go into step 3 on this sheet, and you're going to order up these Fiverr gig URLs and put them in and get them bookmarked and indexed. And most of these will work on like low and medium competition keywords that I've seen. I mean, I've used the top two Fiverr gigs I gave you guys. I've actually used on money sites and not had problems with. But just take that with a grain of salt. There's, the more people that use it, it eventually creates a footprint. So, just be cautious. I still recommend going with your own PBN networks or whatever else. So, yeah, sorry it's not clickable. I don't think Mike's had time to edit it. I just threw in my information. It's all the way down on page 198 if you scroll through. So, and if you need access to some of this stuff, you're going to have to email Mike. I'll give you his.
Here we had one good question. What exactly is a citation?
Oh, a citation. So a citation is like, so if you come into, that's like basically your Yellow Pages or your Yelp. I mean, you've seen them around, like, so you've kind of seen it around. I mean, let me find one.
What differentiates a citation between another inbound link, say a PBN inbound link?
Well, typically citations are good because they're more like this business type link, so it includes more information like your website, phone number, stuff like that. So it really is just kind of, they're just called citations. And what's good about them is most of them that you can get are usually pretty high DA. And yeah, it can be a directory site too. Sometimes I use directory sites for, I only use like good quality directory sites. So they're usually ones you either have to pay for or ones that aren't blacklisted. Like a lot of the directory sites out there that, you know, they'll say they'll give you 1,000 directory links are just, they're on different domains, but usually the same IP or the same hosting provider or something. So it just does a lot of footprint nonsense. So, you know, I usually only use the high quality ones for replacements of some of the PBNs, and you know, the better ones will move your site when you drop those links on there, even though they're a yearly cost. So this is the super pages. Can you guys see the super pages okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the example of like one of the citation sites. It's kind of weird when you talk on these because you wait for somebody to respond, and it's a little different. So let's see.
So what, in your mind, is a site that qualifies as a citation? How would you define that group of sites?
Citations, basically anything that's going to let me either drop my phone number, drop my URL, or the address. So like most of these types of sites are usually used in your Google Places rankings when you're going and trying to rank in the local packed stuff.
So you're talking about places that allow you to put in your business information versus just like an article with a link, right?
Yeah, exactly. And these work the same way as like a PBN would. I mean, they're really high. I don't know if you guys can see my screen okay on here.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. So you can see like this one here specifically had a DA of 88, which is pretty good. You know, it's not too bad at all. So, you know, doing PA boosting this, I mean, you can even throw some bookmarks over at this one and juice this up to probably a 56 or higher, depending on how many you do. So it doesn't really take a lot. That's why when you go to this thing over here, like most of these they have a lot of high DA, or some of them even have PA built in. But that's why we go back through and do a second round of the bookmarking, because it's going to add a little more juice and help get everything indexed without doing like mass spam like what you do with GSA. So, and plus you don't have to learn all that crap either. The other thing I wanted to show you guys that I put in here, you know, if you don't want to mess with GSA or anything, and like I've used these guys before and they do pretty good. This will help with like local and medium competition. It's not really built for like those major national money rankers. So that's something I put in there, and you always get the report back, so you can take those and do a second layer to them, where you can, you know, do other orders. And I'll open this up so you can see it. So I usually will just order the GSA campaign 3 is typically what I'll use. So, you know, it's not bad. It's all good for citations and stuff. So, you know, if you don't want to mess with GSA, that's an option to do. But of course, I go over like footprints and stuff in that document. So just be aware when you do this kind of stuff. Don't expect it to last forever just because it's, you know, it's a little more on the black hat side of things. So, and then I've gotten some emails on stuff. Oh yeah, I can put that in the chat box. Sorry about that. And they do some other ones too. They'll do like some of the other stuff, like SE Nuke and some of that other stuff. So email Mike if you want to get access to that document. And then this is that link I was just talking about for GSA services. That's not too bad. But again, low and medium competition. Don't expect to go after some big keyword with that service. So, and one thing I got emailed a lot about recently was, folks have been trying to, for example, like their Amazon is not ranking, and they've sent a bunch of links to it. Well, one of the things I wanted to go into was making sure you get the right URL. So, like, there's times, not always what you click on. Sometimes there's cookies or reference or affiliate stuff or keywords attached to the end, and that's not actually the URL that Google indexes. So, the most important part of this is making sure you get the right URL. I just want to go over this again real quick because I do get a lot of emails on this. So, so for example, let's say you were doing, I don't know, let's just go find, let's do a search for ice pop molds or something, and we'll just go pick on one of these people. So if you come into here, let's just click on the sticks. So you see this URL up here. You don't want to get any of this crap behind it. You need the actual clean URL that Google is actually indexing in Google. So it's usually from the ref beyond, or for citations there's a question mark and then a bunch of different stuff. That's usually the stuff I gut out. So I would delete this. So always before you do this kind of link building, you just want to make sure that you grab this, copy it, and then you want to go do a search in Google to make sure that this is actually the one that Google is looking at. So just do a paste and search here, and this comes up again as the wooden stick or wooden treat sticks, and then when I click on it, it should match the clean URL that what I had before, and you can see it here. Nope, that's the wrong one. But you can see this is the clean one I searched for, and then this is matching from what I clicked on in Google. So I know that this is the one that Google is indexing. So this is what you want to link build. If you go and you link build the other one, which was, it had the ref equals behind it, it's not ever going to rank. So if you built links to those, just go back in and build it to your clean URL. So does that make sense for everyone? Just give a 1. So I make sure people know that, because that sucks when you build links to something that's not going to rank. So let's see. What else do we want to go over? Oh, I'll show you guys some cool stuff here. And then I want to do some Q&A with Sue, just for some of the beginners. And then we'll go into some question and answer. So let's see. So let's go into... So the reason I wanted to show you guys some of that clean URL stuff is because you can seriously rank really well for clients doing it this way. So I'm going to show you some of this. One of my old clients, they're not mine now, but so if you want negative SEO, feel free. So I'll just do a search. So you guys have probably seen this occasionally before. So this is Ivory Homes was one of my clients, and they're a big home builder here in Utah. I think they're in a few other states too. So you might come across some of that. But basically you can see my goal for ranking them, because you kind of got to cater to what your client's needs are going to be. So, and what I mean is, if people are searching for something, what the heck are they trying to do? Are they trying to solve a problem? Is it like in the water damage restoration, the reason I blanketed the whole page is because most people are just looking for a phone number. They're not really looking to go cruise a site and say, oh, I might get this product here, I might get there. I mean, they're not looking for that. They need help right away. So those are types of searches I'd like to do the blanketing on. And then Ivory Homes, I wasn't necessarily looking to blanket the whole front page like the regular Google search. I wanted to do the places page, because if you do, and you can check this on your phone, if you do this search on your phone, they let you click on directions, call now, or website, and just one click off of your phone, your smartphone. So that's why I went after this, because when I was out looking to buy a home, typically we go look for a few and we print it out, but then we're like, oh, we need to go check out whatever. Like we're in this area and we looked at these model homes. It's not what we're looking for. So I want the ability for when people are moving around that they can click on model homes, and then their places page will pop up, because typically they'll be mobile at that point when they're sitting in their car. So in your mobile results, though, these are what usually pop up first. Sometimes you get an occasional one above it, but these are what will stand out on a mobile device. And so that was the key for this. So this was Pleasant Grove, right? So this is one of the cities here in Utah. So we're just going to bounce around. I think you guys have seen Salt Lake City. So I just changed my location in Salt Lake City. And here again you can see they take all of the all of the ones they're showing for the local results. So on a mobile phone you can see how this is useful by taking the whole groupings. We can do some other, let me show you a different city. Let's do like Sandy. You just go through the list and go through all the cities in Utah if you want. Here it is again. So basically what happened with their analytics, it just exploded. Like they had their main location only, but nothing of their model homes. So basically once you started seeing this, like in their analytics, it just started jumping like crazy. They eventually let me go after the 6-month contract because at the time we'd only gotten like 2 cities ranked. I knew the rest would kick in over time. But when you look at their analytics now, it's just, they're getting like 2,000 visitors a day. And in the old analytics, you used to be able to see who was clicking for driving directions and who was clicking for, who was calling and all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty cool. So I'll give you guys, this is something that's pretty cool to do for your Google Places rankings. So, and you can go ahead and check on your own computer, typing in different cities in Utah, and just typing in model homes. So, and this is some of the stuff that I'll go over at the live event too, just so you guys know. But I just wanted you guys to get a feel for some of the damage that you can do in the SERPs, and just pay attention to like what kind of caters to your client. Do they sell chocolate on a corner store? Are they wanting people to get foot traffic like Ivory Homes was, or is it an emergency where they need people to call right now? Like those types of ranking is one part of it, but the other part is just doing conversion and making sure that they're going to be able to, you can meet the needs of when those folks are searching. So, yeah, so I guess I can do, let me see, what should we do now? I guess I could interview you, Sue. Just trying to roll through this. I'm not rolling through crap trying to, do other stuff. So, let's see. So, and then we'll do some Q&A after I interview Sue. Does that sound good to you guys?
Let's do the Q&A first.
You want to do Q&A first? Okay, we can do Q&A first.
I got a couple interesting questions here.
Okay.
Let's say that there are 5 to 8 locations from competitors, but none of them are linking like we are. Is it easy to, quote, push, unquote, them off the front page?
So what do you mean, like do a negative, are you talking about doing like a negative SEO or just trying to bump them off using other properties?
That's Alexander. Not negative, just bump them off.
Yeah, so I mean, there's, if I'm going after a competitive niche, so So we'll use like PBNs and stuff, but then we also come in and I do DAS to my PBNs. Sometimes if the search, it depends on how much I care about the site. Like, the more competitive niche that you go into, I'm going to use a different tactic. Like if I have to do different methods to hide my links and then protect it in case somebody does negative SEO, then I can just move it. That's going to determine how I do my link building. But, I've been noticing you just do your PBNs and you do DAS to your PBNs, which is domain authority stacking, in case people don't know what I'm saying. And that usually will handle a lot of stuff. I mean, there's other methods that you can use too. I don't know if that helps. I don't know how specific people want me to get on this, but.
Well, that is kind of the next question. Dietrich asks if you're going to tell us how to actually do Google Places, or if this was just a tease.
So I'll show you. So I can draw up a quick little diagram for you guys. Would that help, so you guys could see more what I'm doing?
You give us a 1 if that would help, and give us a 2 if you're not interested.
Okay, and this is like any kind of sites, but mostly like this method would be used for money sites, like one that's not as strong, I would say. So let's see. Let me find my drawing program real quick. This is eDraw Mind Map, in case you guys like to draw diagrams like I do. It's a free program, so I like it because it helps me keep track of, like, I don't know about you guys, but when I do link building, I like to do I kind of like to keep track of what I'm doing, so that way when things go down or go up, I can see like what I did. Maybe some properties are working better than others, so I like to try to keep track of that in a mind map, because when I see ones that are working, I want to try and either improve them if changes come along, or revise them if they didn't really work, and then maybe make it similar. It's kind of like when you do AdWords in Google. You do 2 different runs of an ad campaign, and you're trying to test the combinations, which one appeals to people more. And whichever one works better, then I would take that one and then do a second variation of it and then test it again. And then eventually you get it down to where you get this really good ad that's just really high converting and a good click-through rate. So same kind of thing what I kind of do with link building tools. So it's eDraw Mind Map. I don't know the link off the top of my head, but I'll type it into chat here in case you guys want it. So, okay, so let's say that this is your money site up here in orange, or whatever color that is, sunset. Money site, okay, and then you're going to go through, and you can drop the PBNs like shares, So you just come into here, and these are probably different properties that you're using for your PBN links. Okay, so you'd have your PBNs here, and then you would incorporate DASs going to these PBNs. So, like, you want to know my exact process, I'm assuming?
Give us a general idea. So you're gonna use DAS to increase the domain authority to the PBN, and then link the PBN to the money site, right?
Correct. So DAS is basically, we have a course on it. It's kind of, what it comes down to is basically, so the payday loans hit my niches back at the end of 2011 and early 2012. And what it came down, that's where I started developing a lot of my methods, and I was in, like, loans and credit cards and and insurance and all those kinds of niches. I'm still in those niches, but basically what it came down to is that's when I started testing to see how you build an authority to a site. So I started manipulating a lot of different ways back then. The payday loans that just come out now is basically it's a byproduct of what happened back then. So they only rolled those out on the competitive niches before, and now it just applies across the board. And so when people are seeing like slower rankings or whatever, it's usually due to their site doesn't have enough authority. Now it eventually gets there, of course, when you drop more PBNs and stuff, but that's just because you're slowly building that authority over time. So, you know, when I was developing some of these methods, it was specifically geared so I could still rank in these competitive niches without having to worry about, you know, getting filtered out with what their payday loans did. So, a few takeaways that you guys might want to know is, you know, so let's say, so back in the good old days, you could just, you know, use Magic Submitter or SENuke or GSA, whatever tool of flavor you used, and rank a site. You know, I mean, there wasn't anything to it. It's basically like the most links wins kinds of things. And then anchor percentage was everything. So, but that's kind of the reason that Google rolled out with that update, because a real authority site is not going to have a ton of links going to one page. It's not going to be all going to a home page. It's going to be spread out, you know, through many good different posts on the site. So one way to filter out some of the folks that are not real authority sites in Google's mind was just to target the ones that didn't have high domain authority. So in domain authority, you can refer that back to Moz is basically the simplest way. I mean, we go into a lot more detail in that course that I put together, but in a nutshell, Moz's domain authority is basically the easiest way to describe what we're talking about. So with that, I could take a bunch of links and I could send it either to one page, but if I took those same amount of links and put it to all 3 pages, let's just say this is all the same site. Ignore that these are PBNs for a minute. Okay, let's say this is page 1, page 2, and page 3, and page 4 of my money site. So, you know, what was the good old days of SENuke? We could drop in like the money site URL, and then URL 1, which was probably keyword targeted, and URL 2, that might be a long tail thing. Is my sound better now?
Your sound's fine to me.
Trying to keep it. Okay, I'm just trying to keep it close to my mouth so you guys can hear. So basically, what it is I could take, you know, if I did those links over those 3 URLs or even only the money site, the DA would build, but it takes way, way longer to build it. It doesn't build as quick than if I took the same links and put it to the money site and then more pages on the site. So if I used this target and this target and this target and this target, your DA actually builds faster by targeting multiple pages on a site. So does that make sense to everyone? I'm just kind of explaining what kind of domain authority is and kind of how I got about to this method. So, and okay, good, excellent. So basically it was kind of interesting because I was like, well, you know, most of the sites I was seeing and doing research on was, you know, the sites that stuck back with the original payday loans was, you know, they only had those links going to those certain pages. But then you had a, you know, if you do the clean link building method, what did we always do? We just sent it to the page we were trying to rank. So it just started getting a little tougher because you're like, well, now we got to build DA to compete in these niches. DA is domain authority. And we also got to have clean links. So that's a tough combination because how do you, like, marry it all up? So part of the course of what we did is, like, there's a study that was done with Harvard that however many links away to your money site is, the less trust you have and the more spam is actually you're more looked as spam the further you are away from these trusted sites. And trusted sites are these high DA sites, right? So when I do my DAS, I'm trying to create my clusters in a method that's basically going to not go as far away from the trust. So it's not like tiered linking, because when you do tiered linking, you're doing, you do tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5, or how many tiers you're going to do. Well, like, when you get that far out on the jump, your trust is dropping way down. So, it's not as effective as if you did fewer and then tried to keep the trust and the domain authority closest to the money site as possible. This is why, like, your 2.0 links and stuff like that still work really well, because they house the domain authority that you're looking for to only be one jump away. So, let's say, so basically what I've been doing lately is, you have your money site, and your PBN links will go to your money site. And I don't like to go over like 2% max anchor, so I like to follow Greg's methods as far as, like, as you roll out your links, you want to do URL and LSI and partial match, and then I usually don't do my main money keyword until I get to the very end, because that way I know I have enough dilution and other links going on. So the other thing you can do is come in and you can hit your money site with social, right? So you can hit this with social. You can get like shares on Facebook. You can get bookmarks. You want to get quality bookmarks, not junky ones, because what's the anchor text from a bookmark? Does anybody know off the top of their head? Right, yeah, it comes from the title, right? So in your title, it's going to pull, so if you bookmark a page, it's going to pull the title of that page. So you can utilize this to your advantage. If you can find tools that can not let you have to put your keyword anchors and stuff in there, you can use it for dilution, okay? And the other one I like to do to help with dilution as opposed to just pure PBNs is, like, just go buy some citations, right? You can go out and get, you can use OnlyWire. You can go get citations. There's different gigs and stuff that you can do that, those are those business directory sites like we were showing on that other page, wherever it went. I think I already closed it down. So, but that would be like your Yelp and your, it could be your Groupon, it could be your Angie's List thing, and I usually will just make up, one thing I like to do with my locations, if I'm going to use it, is sometimes I'll talk to friends and say, hey, we all have close friends that usually have a business. I'll say, hey, can I use your business for an address? And just because you want to put up a Google Places page or whatever the case is. And then you use their address, and it'll send it in the mail, and then right before you activate it, you edit the listing and you put like Suite B or Suite C or whatever. And that way your address is going to be separated from your friend's address, so then you can both use the same address without it messing up the rankings of your friend's site if he has one. But most cases I've found they don't even know what the heck they're talking about, so, or don't care about ranking at Google. So anyway, once I get that address and I register in Places, then I'll go and get the citations going. So now I have like social covered, and I have like, URL links going to it. You can also use like Noam. Noam.com does like all your social type of properties. You can use that for dilution. So there's a lot of other ways to do dilution to your money site without actually using just straight PBNs. And another big part with Panda is, the Panda algorithm, they want to see social going to your pages. So it's in some important steps there. And so basically once I get those in place in the PBNs, then I'll drop down and do some DAS, right? So I'll pull up something for DAS. Let me go find an example for you guys so you guys can see the properties. you can use, uh,
Jimmy, your sound's deteriorated. Maybe you're using a lot of bandwidth.
sorry. Um, just real quick. See how it shows up.
We should still be seeing your
Okay, so like,
E-draw heavy tray. Oh, here we go.
yeah. So now what this is, so this is some of the stuff that we cover with with DAS, right? With domain authority stacking. So this is like a cluster. This is like a cluster that you would use, but this wouldn't be your money site, right? In this case, these would be your PBN links. So that cluster would be sending link juice to your PBNs. Does that make sense? I'm going to have to close some of this stuff down because it looks like my sound is breaking up from having all this stuff open.
No, you're back.
Okay. So this would be like PBN. This would be PBN. So the arrows that you're seeing on here is where you're sending your links to, right? And you do it just the same way that you do like your PBN type links, right? So the same kind of anchors, you're going to vary your anchors when you drop into these arrows, okay? And it's going to be the same kind of situation, you know, but instead of going to your money site, they're going to be the PBNs that you've already built on this other page that are here. Okay, so you got high trusted links going to these, and there's other stuff involved, but that's basically what I like to do to try and, you know, get sites ranking. And this works good for low competition, high competition, whatever you want to do. So, does that make sense for everyone? In a nutshell?
Ranking in 10 minutes.
How long does it take to do a DAS site? So, I like the ones I've been doing recently, like, you know, I did one last month. It took 3 weeks and it ranked number 2. But I just used DAS on that. I didn't put in the PBNs. So,
Oh, here's a good question. Do you use DAS on your money sites or just on PBNs?
I do both. It depends on the competition. If I know I'm going to be at it for a long time, then I'll try to shield the money site as much as I can, just because my thing is, depending on how much work I have to put into it, I'll do more protection so I don't have to go back and redo it if something happens. But if it's like a local keyword, I just usually just do DAS and I ignore the other stuff. So, like, I won't do PBNs and I'll just do DAS. So, and that basically will just, you know, just ranks it up. But, you know, there's more specifics and stuff on that, but that's like one of my diagrams that is a part of a cluster, if you wanted to see that. So, does that make sense for you guys? So, yeah, so DAS is called, it's domain authority stacking, basically. There's a lot more.
Yeah, there is a lot more. What I will
with
say
it,
is you've given enough here for people to actually be able to do what they need to do. But if you want to get more into domain authority stacking and GSA, Jimmy's got a course on both of those topics. What's your URL, Jimmy?
Yeah, you can go visit me at jimmykelly.org, and you can check out those courses if you're interested in learning some of these in more detail. I'll drop it in the Skype if you guys want to go look. Oh, not Skype. What are we on? GoToMeeting.
GoToMeeting.
So you can go to that URL, and those courses are on there if you want to go learn more about that kind of stuff. But I go into a lot more detail on the courses. It's not this is like an overview kind of thing. Like Sue said, you'll still have success with this. So.
Oh, go to it in your browser so that it's available on the replay too. One of our members made a very good point there.
Oh, yeah, I'll put it in at the end if they want to see some of these.
I'm talking about jimmykelly.org.
Yeah, so somebody's asking about what are these Tier 2 links. So these Tier 2 links vary. They're either bookmarks or they're GSA. So, but there's a specific way. This is like a generic kind of drawing. But, if you want to learn more, you can go check out the website if you want to learn more on that kind of stuff. But, so, anyways, I'm not here to, do this kind of stuff. I'm just trying to answer some questions. So basically, that's what you do. So, I'll put in some other clouds in here. So the other stuff that goes to your money site is like high-quality bookmarking and citations and Noam for dilution. So that way you can focus more with the stuff you spend money on actually being more geared towards PBN or, the keywords you're trying to rank for. So, I usually do, Sue's asking, do I do this for each keyword? I don't do it for each keyword. Like in the cluster, just like what you do with PBNs, if you optimize your pages correctly, it'll push it for multiple keywords. It's not going to be like a one keyword deal. So for that small, for my small push that I did last month that ranked in 3 weeks, the main keyword ended up number 2, and then the other 2 keywords that they wanted, the second one ended up at number 6, and the one after that was number 8. So, yeah, so hopefully that kind of answers some questions in that front. Let's see. We have any other good questions, Sue?
That's a good question.
What else you guys want to talk about on here? Hopefully that helped a little bit. Any other topics you guys have?
How do you delete over-optimization of anchor text?
Oh, somebody wants to go into more GSA. So with GSA, yeah, I haven't put the. I'm going to put a Google Places course out pretty soon, Pete. It's just not out quite yet. But the one where I blanket the page, it's going to be at the OMG Live event. So if you guys are interested in learning how to do that, that'll be there. And there's some cool tricks that we're going to show there too.
How do you pick your keywords? That's a great question.
How I pick my keywords? Well, I use. I really am not trying to. So I use the last keyword tool.
Pitch it.
Hey, Russ.
Well,
So-
I'm not looking.
Okay, so I'll just bring this in here. So we'll do. If you guys want to see what it is, there's some cool stuff in here. Like this is. Honestly, this is like the only keyword tool I use. Like, so whether I use this for GSA or for finding money targets or whatever, this is what I use. And it's real simple to do. Like, if you have a keyword or whatever, you just click on Create New Project, and you type in the main keyword you want to rank for, and it'll go out and pull all the keywords that are. It's real time. This isn't stuff that's pulled from nonsense historic stuff or anything like that. Like this is coming from, you have your Larry and your Bayes score and everything that's relevant now coming from sites that are ranking in the search results right now. It's not pulling from somebody else's data or something like that. So I'll show you some of these things. So what I use it for, and I use this in GSA tool or 2. I'll show you some of this if you want to see it. So let's pick on, which one I did? Let's just pick on furnace repair for the heck of it. So furnace repair, you can also use this for like local stuff too. So if you want to do like furnace repair St. Cloud or furnace repair San Francisco, whatever, you can use this too if you want to be location specific. It'll do the same job. This just happens to be a national keyword we're looking at. So the cool thing I like about this is you can apply filters to it, and there's a lot of cool filters in here. I got to put one here. Yeah, so my filter in here basically goes over, I just wanted to get related keywords that actually make money and like get rid of all the other nonsense. And I'll use these in like GSA campaigns and stuff, but you can click on, so I like to use highly relevant, Jimmy supporting keywords, and sometimes I'll do suggested silos and supporting keywords, but I'll show you like the highly relevant. So you just click on that from your drop down and hit apply filter, and then it organized these from the big list it already scraped. Now these are the most important keywords that it finds that are they're like the best LSI keywords that Google is seeming as important right now in the search engine. So this is from live results. Obviously this is a few months ago because I scraped it a long time ago. But if I scraped it right now, it would pull back exactly from the sites that are ranking Google right now. So for instance, if I wanted to do like in GSA, I won't open up that server because it would probably, you wouldn't be able to hear me. But so in GSA, there's this little section that says LSI keyword terms. So I would set that to like 15%, and I just download all of this and put it in there. So this is all your highly relevant. So I would just download it, and it'll plop up a list. Okay. I'll just walk you through what I do, I guess. Hopefully this isn't going to crash the webinar. Didn't seem to pull up anything. My computer might be lagging. But anyways, it'll give you back a keyword, a list of keywords when you do the export, and then you just put it into spin tags. So what I do is I'll copy all those keywords that come in through the spreadsheet, and then you guys should know how to do, they'll come in like this. They'll be like heat pumps, and then it's like furnace switch, like new furnace, and I probably wouldn't use the location. It doesn't really matter though, it just depends on if you're going after a local term or not. And then once that list is in here from the Excel sheet that I download, I just put my brackets around it, right? One at the beginning and one at the end. And then I go through the whole list and I'll put the pipes in, right? And then you just backspace them. And so then this is the spin tags that I take and paste into the LSI section on GSA. And I set that to usually 10 to 15%, and then you're good to go. But this 3 is just an example. I actually do this for the whole list that I download. And then for anchors, if your list is small, you want to use like 3 to 5 terms for your actual anchor text. And you want it to be closely related to what you want to rank for. And that's what I usually use. The rest is just going to be like other and stuff like that. So, but yeah, so you can actually get in there and check out some of this stuff. But that's what I use for my keyword tool. Anyone else have any questions? Do you see any good ones in there, Sue or Russ? Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, at this point, people are asking a little bit about spin text that you just showed. Somebody was saying it's better to use the GSA spin text. I think you were just trying to show an example, though, right?
Yeah, I was just showing an example if they didn't know how to do it.
So Steve, he was just showing a little bit about the coding. Somebody asks, can you share your thoughts, experience on building domain authority for an e-commerce store which has hundreds of product pages? How can you target a specific product page without overall link profile for the site looking unnatural? Very good question, Adrian. Either one of you guys want to speak to that? Yeah, it's social primarily. Sue, you've done a lot of work with this too. Do you want to speak?
Yeah, you know what I do is target the most profitable pages. So in any e-commerce situation, you've got that 80-20 rule. And I tend to target, I'm getting feedback on my microphone, just a second.
Sue has been setting up her water-cooled gigantic gargantuan machine with 2 million gigabytes of RAM. So she's working on running the world. Are you okay, Sue?
Yeah,
I can hear you. That's better.
Yeah, okay. So you got that 80-20 rule going on, and so I target those pages that are going to bring you the most money because those are going to be your most popular pages anyway. And then everything else will get ranked because of the domain authority that the links to those pages are going to bring you. And also target category pages.
Yeah, so it's pretty good. I mean, it's hard with, you definitely got to be careful when you're doing e-commerce sites because a lot of your titles and stuff are going to be similar. And so you usually don't want to do a lot of exact match keyword anchors. You know, another thing that we've been kind of testing is we've been doing like, you know, just straight URL links on your tier 1 and then beefing that up with keywords, and that's pushing it pretty well. You know, that you're beefing up the tier 1 with keyword anchors, and that's working pretty well. So, you know, it's a different test that we're running, but you know, for your e-commerce situation, that might be an option to try. And you could definitely do that with like social or bookmarking or things like that. But you want to make sure that the properties you're using aren't, you know, junk properties when you're doing your bookmarking. Yeah, that's to a money site. Let's see.
We do.
What else we got?
Darth Mole, I know that's not your actual name, but I like your name.
That's Mike Hayden.
I know. Yeah, I know. I know exactly who it is. Then why are you asking that? Are you, Mike? I'm not even going to answer your question. Social adder. Okay. You're asking for real? Well, you know, we tested social adder and different things. Of course, you know, we're biased because we wrote Social Explosion, which is relaunching on the 23rd. Mike Long and I just talked about our open cart day on that, and that's what I'm doing here on my other machine with our developer. Sue is here. We're we're getting the new relaunch out. So Social Explosion is what we use because we know how it works, and we feel it's safe for the social backlink. But, you know, people are using things like Social Exploder, Social Adder, which is Ben's software. There are other things out there like OnlyWire. Just be careful that you're getting the main thing that I've learned from Jimmy and Sue is really get your text. Make sure you're just not using the same thing over and over again. And Social Adder, Ben did add the ability to change the anchor text because he noticed people really hurting their sites on that. So all of us who create these social platforms understand that what you're doing it for backlinking, you've really got to diversify things. And so that's the main thing that I would say. Yeah, I don't know if Darth Mole, if that answered your question.
He's actually talking about an e-commerce site.
Oh, you mean specifically?
Yeah.
About the e-commerce site. Okay. Well, he makes a good point. Social Adder, I mean, our particular software, Social Explosion, is not currently in this version non-WordPress, although everybody seems to be screaming for larger versions of it.
That will come.
Yeah. So, in fact, we were talking about it today. So, You know, right now we don't have any other versions of it for WordPress, but we have some other specs on the table, some evil plans that Sue has already made clear are going to happen. So that's a great question, Darth Maul.
But what I would do for an e-commerce site like that, I mean, you should blog about your products, right? Whatever is new or great or the latest, and Social Explosion works fine for that blog. And then that blog in turn links back to your e-commerce site.
Yeah. Also, again, we have a lot of questions on the Network Empire products and the rest. That's not what this call is about. Our channel partners and our dedicated channel partners, Mike Long, OMG, Project X, and of course the upcoming, I'm going to start to mention that a little bit, Sue. The upcoming launch of Juggernaut, I think, is what we're getting our heads around right now. So if you want to find out more about our information, of course, you know to visit jimmykelly.org. We have some pretty powerful mastermind technologies that have been coming together with all of you. I don't know how many of you have been with OMG or Project X over a year. Just give me a 1 so I know kind of the audience that I'm dealing with here. And give me a 2 if you really have no idea who Network Empire is and what the hell our relationship with is OMG and why Mike Long is not here or any of these things. Okay.
Well, why are we listening to Jimmy?
Yeah, the truth is, I mean, I'm going to go ahead and give you a sequential story. Wow. Hi, Ann. It's great to see a new member. Cynthia, okay, there's a lot of new members, so it's really good to see all of you. Just so you guys have a little bit of an idea, I can't tell you the reason Mike Long is not here because I'm not supposed to. I would really like to because it's a celebration.
Oh, I already told him.
Everybody else seems to know.
Yeah, I already told him.
Oh, you did? Oh, no. Oh, my God. Yes, Daryl.
I told him to go say congratulations in the Facebook group.
Yes, I think the proper word is elope. I learned this word yesterday from my girlfriend. I don't know why she's all on about that. Anyway, so that's what that is. Just to give you a quick background story, is that Sue and I, before we met Jimmy, which is about a year and a half ago, I've known Mike Long for almost a decade, and we were talking about websites. I came over to his place in San Diego to talking about this really cool chick who I'd met who was building military-level keyword tools for a giant account we had, which was bizfilings.com at the time, right? Which is a really, really big account that I had. My first SEO project was bizfilings.com, you guys. It was like beastly monsters, like 1 million keywords in an AdWords account, right? Just ridiculous, even back then. So we started talking, and that's back when SEO website silo architecture was new because Bruce Clay had taught that method to me, and it was working back then, guys, like really, really good. Okay, so the bottom line is that we've known Mike for many, many years before he became Mr. Bigwig, StomperNet, launcher, and the launcher of like several other 92 million figure launches, you know, 6 figures, 7 figures, no question launches. All right, so that's how we've known for many years. 10 years later, roll around, website silo architecture still work, right? Still working, website SEO is still working, and while everything else is in the shipping environment. So we decided to do OMG Live last year, and we decided to launch a plugin, which we have the relaunch coming out. And we just realized that there's a lot of crossover in the beginner and intermediate and even some advanced markets for all of you guys. So we became channel partners. That means that some of our specials and offers and discounts that we've given you are omgmachines.com/Zoom. Okay, omgmachines.com/Zoom, ZOOM. We'll put that in the group. That's a product venture that we have created that works with them for TLKT. We also have special offers for you like omgmachines.com/automagic. I'm going to go ahead and drop both of these in the everybody pile here. So these are special discounts. Also in Project X, we have the PBN Reloaded model, which we teach to Project X members. And I'm still learning a bit about the Juggernaut launch. I was talking to David Mills, so we just wanted to bring that to your attention, but we can't really talk about it very much because it's not our thing and we don't know much about it. But we did promise that we would let you guys know that we would mention it. Also, yes, you're asking, are we going to be at OMG Live? What happened at this point is OMG Live last year, this guy, this big teddy bear kind of a guy came down and sat next to me, and I thought I was like a data badass. You know, I had Sue on my left, and Jimmy and I were talking, and then he starts talking about things that no people should know except us. Okay? He was talking about, and it ended up being Jimmy Kelly, okay? And he was actually a prodigy data analyst. The only type of conversations I'd seen were behind closed door mastermind stuff with Kevin Polly, Matt DeCruz, and Sue. Very, very quiet at Amz0Nnn Secret Labs, okay? And so when Jimmy started talking to us, we realized that we had a lot in common. One of the challenges Jimmy has is getting SEO diversity backlinks, what we call statistically improbable phrases. He was doing it manually, and then he realized that we had all the technology to do that, which the last keyword tool is one of them. Okay, so that's how we became a big happy family. Jimmy came to join Network Empire with his own independent consulting firm, and he's helping us rank our multi-million-dollar clients as well as getting them unpenalized. And he's also helping us teach our Amz0Nnn Live certification and our 7- and 8-figure Mastermind X programs, which are launching in the middle of next year. And more importantly, Mike Long, David Mills, Sue Bell, Jimmy Kelly, and myself up here at least once a year. We're going to try for twice next year. I don't think we can talk Sue into it. OMG Live events are when we can really talk about the heavy-duty shiznit, because our masterminds are perpetual masterminds. There's so much going on that unless we get you in a live event, Mike stuff, Jim Morrison, yeah, the Doors. Greg Morrison Greg Morrison's a serious badass. I didn't mean to leave him out of this thing. He actually came to the Network Empire Live event that we have every year. That's a $20,000 per person event, you guys. And he did some teaching and communicated a lot of the stuff that, the Network Empire Live event is a collaboration, Greg Morrison and our team, and then the synergy of that process, Jimmy, Sue, Greg, myself with my automatic pin bid stuff, and Susan and Jimmy's enhancements on that. All of this kind of comes together, and we try to bring as much of that stuff to the OMG Live event as we can. So really, let me just put it this way. If I was a beginner or intermediate, I know you got some advanced guys in this group, it would have been what I would have wanted when I was first starting out. Like, don't treat me like an idiot. Like, assume that I want to scale. Assume that I understand that you got to have a multi-million-dollar technology infrastructure. What's the step-by-step? I don't have that money to spend now, but I want to grow. If I had not found Sue in 2004, I wouldn't have known how to scale a multi-million-dollar SEO and technology and traffic network, right? And I just got a lot of runaround. So we want to teach you how. There's a lot of masterminds and all these different things happening out there. Hey, they're great stuff. It's okay. Shark Tank kind of stuff. Sue helped me. Actually, Sue built three multi-million-dollar businesses without any debt, you guys. We did not. This is not Shark Tank, okay? Right, Jimmy? This is like it's three people running a combination business that's at least 7 figures. I'm not going to get into it. I don't want to do the whole lifestyle marketing thing, okay? I mean, we have that just in technological infrastructure, you guys. And here's the thing. I'm a Robin Hood kind of technologist. I believe that each and every one of you has the ability to build your infrastructure properly if you listen to the things that Sue and Jimmy and Greg Morrison have to say. So OMG Machines Live, the whole live event, is where we come in and we show you how a 7- and 8-figure business is being run, not with the fluff, but with the technology infrastructure to back it. So you can really think about, okay, if you want to get 1 billion pages up next year that are sustainable, that are not going to get de-indexed, that are going to get massive traffic to them, that are going to convert 1% or greater, they're going to literally have your servers rocking back and forth. You guys, you can do it. Sue taught me how to think big, and Jimmy's teaching us how to think big in terms of rankings, like, billion-dollar ranking terms. When you all get this stuff together at a live event, there's things that we can communicate with you in that kind of a mastermind group that we really can't communicate anywhere else, apart from maybe Network Empire Live. But even then, there's amazing synergy. So that's the story of OMG Live, Project X, and Juggernaut. Does everybody understand? The next event is actually this year, Alexander. The OMG Live event, Mike Long, Greg Morrison, Dave Mills will be there, who's definitely somebody you're going to want to meet. He's a billion-dollar mindset. Sue Bell has her video on how to go for the big B, $1 billion. Our company, our collective holdings company, is well on its way to that. Jimmy Kelly is going to be talking about protecting that empire in terms of rankings and all these things. I'll be there in terms of how to scale up to 1 billion pages plus. All of us will be there. That's the OMG Live event, and that is in, Sue, help, November. Is it November? She's gone away.
Yes, it's November.
Yeah, it's
Sorry.
November 13th, I believe.
Right. And as a guest on this call, I want to make sure that we focus on OMG Live. We have a live event. We were going to have a live event in October for Network Empire, but we realized that the OMG event was so huge, we went ahead and canceled it. Our live Network Empire event, which is your certified training on the different levels, that's in March of next year. I strongly recommend, as a primer, that you go to Nashville OMG Live and meet us first to get yourself very primed for that. First of all, it's in a different price range. I'm just going to be straight out with there. So it's the least expensive you'd be able to access these kind of quality people, billion-dollar technical infrastructure kind of people. All right, and then as you begin to make more money, depending upon what you have, what you can get, what your company's doing, then we recommend that you go to the Network Empire Live certification event. Okay. I'm glad you bought your ticket. Thank you, Alexander. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alexander's like, huh?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jimmy. You're all over it. Go for it.
And I was going to say, the reason why we do the OMG Live event is because, part of the priming is showing you guys what tricks we're doing and things that will help you rank like now or today or when that month comes if there is a change that happens.
Absolutely.
And that's something, you need the ranking. Sometimes people need rankings to get a little bit of money to start building those empires.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, we don't expect all of you, especially if in your beginning, intermediate phases, and even some early advanced phases, in order to come to an event to get the kind of training, from like military level programmers and developers and visionaries like Sue Bell and other people that come, Kevin and our developers, that kind of certification is like building out entire gigantic networks. It's not for the meek of heart. We don't have any problems telling you that, right, Sue? I mean, you've got to be clear and ambitious. And I'm not downplaying Network Empire Live. I'm saying that you want to be at a level. You want to get a lot of these tips that Jimmy and Sue and Greg Morrison have under your belt, because you start pulling in cash right away. Just a real quick question for everybody. I know Mike does this all the time. Those of you in OMG Live and the rest, how many of you, give me a 1 if you've made money already from the tips, insights, and fast mechanisms that you've learned from Greg Morrison, Mike, Jimmy, and everyone else who have been amazing guests on these webinars. Holy mackerel, that's a lot of 1s. Okay, there's one person there. Thanks for that. You're on your way, so you need a little bit of some tips in there. Wow, that's it, guys. What I'm seeing is a wall of 1s. And I have to say, I've been in the business for a long time. I haven't seen this kind of success rate. And that's one of the things that I always loved, all the way back from when I knew Mike and Dave in 2000. Let me look at the date. That would have been 2000. Wow, holy mackerel. 8, 9. He's always about, well, this worked for me too. And one of the reasons I want you guys to have these tips from Jimmy and Greg and everybody at this live event is that you just walk away. There's almost nobody that I know that were at the live event last year that hasn't seen a measure of success, like that have cash coming in on their bank account regular. To me, that's just a mind-blowing thing for beginner, intermediate, and beginning advanced. That's the most important thing. So I just wanted to make sure I did a little pedestal talk, since Mike is eloping and probably in the middle of a wedding right now, like as we speak. He's probably like just about ready to say I do.
Yeah, and kind of the rollout for me, for those of you that are new or even that are experienced, I mean, you want to go into Project Juggernaut and you want to attend the live events because, so you get your core understanding and everything you need to have success, and it's Project Juggernaut now that we're looking at on the screen. So you want to get your core understanding there, because it's kind of a step. I would say you have to get that, then you have to get the OMG Live, and then you have to work your way over to, the things that Russell was talking about from there, because you need the basics to have success. It's kind of like, when you take classes in college or whatever, I mean, you can't just walk in and take some, advanced AP, calculus course or something like that and not have the fundamentals of, like algebra or something. I mean, you're just not going to have as much success, and you'll be kind of a little bit lost. And so you need to build up these core, and these are necessary things to take because they're going to help you make money and have that understanding that you need to really excel and go from there. Now, of course, you can still attend live without the Project Juggernaut, but they go hand in hand. So when we're up on the stage talking about specific methods or tactics, you're like, well, what the heck is that? I don't even
Absolutely.
know
I mean,
what they're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, you guys might wonder, like, why, this is, Mike has allowed us to just take over this conversation, and for, Jimmy is a huge part, obviously, of OMG, and Greg Morrison's, like, busy helping all the students and ranking. The main reason is that when you guys get this kind of training, you're ready. I'm not, like, making one more super advanced, or I know it's a little tricky, but actually it is. Like, it is more advanced. So I just want you to know where you can go, and if you guys are trained in OMG, Project X, then it makes our stuff a lot easier to absorb. Here's Daryl, I'm going to go ahead and share that, okay? I won't use any last names. $10,000 per more in 3 months from using PBNs to rank your own stuff. And this is stuff you learned from Greg Morrison in one of the early programs, right? Okay, good. So
That's fantastic.
yeah, so there really is, I was trying to avoid I really have a bad taste for like platform pitches, but I'm actually incredibly unapologetic for this, because I know that when you guys incorporate all these mechanisms, it preps you to be able to fully understand where you can possibly go. And if you choose, you might be happy with the 5 and 6 figures that you're definitely going to have an easier time making with the OMG material, with the local stuff, with the tips we're showing you. Or you may decide to go for what Sue is constantly putting in everybody's head in our company, the big B. We have a $900 million plan by the end. Sue, what was the schedule on that for our holdings companies?
12 months.
Yeah, and that to me, I don't like that. She is always pushing us. Like for me, I was going to do a 5-year plan for the big B, and she comes out with the whips. So another holdings company rolls out, and then we start ranking Amazon things using the mechanisms that you guys are all learning, and it works, you guys. It's just a question of how much can you scale, how much can you organize, and do you have your systems correct? And that's really what I want to get you guys rolling on, is these various steps. If you have any questions for any organization, go ahead and just make sure that you ask. If you have any questions about Project Juggernaut, OMG Live, go ahead and ask them here. I'm going to stay on for a minute or a few minutes after this call is over. If you have any questions about our products, of course, you can always use our help desk. I just want you guys to realize that as far as a Super X Mastermind, this is the coolest that I've ever seen with the possibilities. I know numbers like $1 billion. Like when Stu first gave her talk on the Big B. Where is that talk, Stu? I'm going to drop it in here. When she first gave her talk on the first 1 billion, it was in one of our conferences, and I was actually in the back of the room, and my stomach was kind of tight a little bit. This was, I think, 4.5 years ago. This is before we were making multiple 7 figures in holdings companies collectively. And you guys know what I'm talking about? Give me a 1 if like $1 billion is just so ridiculous, because you're not making enough money now for that to even have any meaning. Yeah, like you can barely even pay your rent check. Okay. And give me a 2 if you can actually imagine like a plan from plan A to plan Z. Okay, there's a few of you who can imagine that, and there's one of you who are like, can I please just pay my car insurance? And you know what's crazy is when I first met Sue, that's where I was at, wasn't I, Sue?
Yep.
I mean, that's where I was hanging, and you were just looking at me like sideways, right? I remember when I had my first, yeah, Josh Fletch, how's it going, buddy? I mean, I know that Joshua, like you were having a difficult time even a 1.5 years ago or 2 years ago, and you're just like, I was on your site the other day, Joshua. You have all your uploads happening on your site. I mean, I've seen multiple people in this process start really milling it out. I mean, their family's taken care of. Yep, 20 months ago, Josh was saying it was like nada. Okay, and again, I'm just saying it can work for all of us depending upon the scale. And so this particular course is designed to make sure that you get the monthly income going to a place that Sue and Jimmy and I, when we sit down, it's like, what tips and secrets can we take? And Greg Morrison, y'all got to stop that. What tips can we take to the whole group so that they can start making it work like right away? Like the guys leaving tips on video stuff inside the Facebook area. Really appreciate that. We're talking about all these things that you can get working right away.
Yeah, and so we had a good question pop in there.
Which one was that?
one person's wanting to know, like, should he go after affiliate to make money? I mean, honestly, the fastest path to money is client work. I mean, for one reason is you can get a deposit or the first month payment up front before you ever start any other work. And, just carefully outline and explain to your client what you'll be doing and how the process is going to work in a rough time frame. That's a good, quick way to inject yourself with money and be able to start ramping things up from there. I mean, that client work really is the fastest way if you're beginning and you need to make cash fast. Or that's one thing I like about Cotton is he is phenomenal with being able to close clients and bring in these clients, and that's definitely a skill that I do not have. I'm an SEO nerd. I don't have people skills. I'm not a good talker. I'm just a thinker and a doer. So,
that's a great question. Hey, Jimmy, someone else is asking you a personal question. There was a question about, oh gosh, there's so many that I can't even keep. Oh, if a lot of prospects and clients, this person actually has clients. If a lot of prospects and clients notice their website has been hit by Panda, is this going to be discussed at OMG Live? Will Jimmy be performing a course or sharing a course?
Yeah, I mean, we'll be going over, I think, penalty recovery, I think, is one of the ones we're going to be going over in there.
Yeah, Dave, come up and see us.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I always share a trick when I do my day 2 just for stuff. It's like an SEO trick that maybe people haven't thought about, or it's not in the limelight, or, it works, but I don't announce what it is just because I want to be a secret and something fun for the day that you weren't expecting. So, there's a lot of different things. We'll be going over Amazon. We'll be going over local. I mean, you guys saw how I blanketed the page for all that. We'll be going over that. We'll be going over penalty recovery, and I think the fourth thing on my list will be the secret trick that's just fun. And last year there was just way too many topics, and what I wanted to do was more like a walkthrough kind of thing, because I think that's more beneficial. I just had so many topics last year. It was my first speaking event, so I was a little unseasoned, but I'm going to go back in and do some more detailed type walkthrough stuff this time around to make sure that people are understanding.
Yeah, we're going to be. Yeah, you guys know that events evolve, right? And the relationship with Mike, Dave, Greg, and also Jimmy jumping in our companies and really adding his 2 cents, and then Sue incorporating a lot of this in terms of our team. We're evolving as well, in terms of how we learn what you guys are experiencing and what's going on. We're constantly watching what's going on with our own clients and our own sites because we have hundreds. And at the same time, unless you talk to us, we don't exactly know. So the first kickoff event was pretty huge. It was quite an intimate environment. And it's during that time that we're able to, there's nothing that replaces a live environment in my experience of both our own Network Empire certification events in there. And so it's really, you can ask a specific question and you can get the nuance of that question. Have Jimmy look over your shoulder or Mike look over your shoulder. Also, you can ask Sue questions on the super technical stuff, which is just really, really hard to depart in a webinar. So that's one of the advantages. I was trying to see if I could find the OMG Live, omgmachines.com link for the live event. Maybe Jimmy already dropped it, so.
I haven't. I'm not good with some of the links and stuff. I mean, that's, I'm the second string here trying to fill in, so people got to forgive me for some of that. But
yeah, Jimmy does not sell. He just wants to help everyone.
Yeah, I'm not a seller.
Usually I have to elbow my way in there and try to neuromarket stuff.
So basically, I want to, Mike, are you on? Just wanted to pull you live for a minute. I made you a panelist, so we should be able to hear you.
You mean Darth?
Darth Maul. Darth Maul.
Darth
Maul. Very naughty boy.
So, Mike, I thought maybe we could ask you, what's been your experience with, OMG and the things you've learned, and how has it helped your business?
Well, I mean, I've been doing SEO for quite a while, not making a huge amount of money. Then basically OMG came along, and I started making a fair bit more money, and then OMG Live came along, and that completely transformed my business. You know, particularly, like, it wasn't the stuff that I learned at OMG Live was really good, like top quality and all that, but more so was, you know, the ability to develop relationships with you and Russell and Sue, and actually get to meet Greg and Mike and David, and I mean, David in person is phenomenal. People just don't even realize because he's so behind the scenes, but yeah, just the personal interactions, and then, you know, meeting all the people that, you know, I've interacted with over the Facebook group, like, it just completely changed everything. I mean, just OMG Live itself is worth easily 5 figures to me, like well into the 5 figures. So it's just from that one event. So it's been phenomenal.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, I think we've all had a great experience with trying to, you know, come in and, you know, Project X really changed a lot of stuff that I did around too, because my methods worked really well, but the stuff I learned from Greg Morrison was just, you know, kicking it up a huge notch, and I was able to keep developing and experimenting from there. So, I mean, it's a lot of cool stuff, you know, that's going on. Josh, I accidentally made you the organizer or the presenter. I don't know if you want to switch that back, but I want to pull you live and kind of ask you again, you know, same stuff we asked Mike Hayden. What's been your, I don't know if are you there?
Are you talking about Fletch?
Yeah, I'm trying to get Fletch on. I don't know if he has a mic or not.
I don't know if he's still here.
I think he's here. He might not be, though.
He's here.
He's a busy guy.
Fletch, if you have a mic, just jump in so we know you're there. But, you know, I mean, Greg and the project, you know, when I joined, it was NHB at the time. I mean, it just it really helped me gain a lot of traction where, you know, I was struggling before. So
I just, Jimmy, I just dropped omgmachines.com/live.php to the entire audience. I think that's the link that Mike wanted us to drop for this year's event.
Okay,
you guys should bookmark that and/or just start to reserve your ticket. It's in Nashville, about 30 minutes from my family estate in Leapers Fork, in Country Music Central. It's becoming the new country Hollywood there. Really great place. But you are going to want to reserve because the hotel is it's beautiful and there's plenty of rooms, but you're not going to want to wait until October. So you might want to think of it, you know, take some time, think about it, make sure that you get in before.
Yeah, the hotel does book up really fast, and
Yeah.
you never want to travel too much when you're having long days of learning.
Yeah, so there is the link. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ping me privately on Skype, and I will do up follow questions both for OMG and for Network Empire. My Skype address, you guys, is ThemeZoom, ThemeZoom, and just mention OMG because I do have something like 3,000 people on my Skype contact, and you know, we have private groups and regular groups. Dietrich, the Nashville airport, people are renting cars. I believe some people are renting cars, but there is a shuttle. Jimmy, wasn't there a shuttle from Nashville?
Yeah, last year Mike did have some people helping take people to and from the airport as well, besides just the shuttle option. But there is a shuttle for that hotel.
Yeah.
I think it's the Drury Plaza.
Drury Plaza, right. Yeah. There is a Whole Foods grocery store right across from it. There's a closest grocery store, and then there's another one, if you're not into that stuff, there's one right around the corner. Also, there's a restaurant inside the hotel and one across the street. So the area is pretty rich. There's things that you can do there.
And there's a Starbucks just down the street.
More importantly to Sue, which of course I'm bringing her coffee every morning, there will be coffee actually in the hotel. It's not, Sue, how was the coffee and the, it was okay this year.
You know, I never tried it because Mike was always bringing me Starbucks.
Yeah, Mike was bringing, he was so cool. I mean, just, I've never, like really a lot about what I'm learning from events, I'm learning from these guys. So as our events get larger, you know, we have ours at the Scottsdale Resort here in Scottsdale. So we really have an especially great time at this particular event because of just the sheer number of people. I mean, how many people were at OMG Live last year? I think it was
238, I believe.
Yeah, and yet even though it was big, I know you were there, Chris Morris, and you live right around the corner, and then you won't even give us the time of day like at Starbucks. So I'm just teasing you, man. Just teasing you. Sorry, I'm too busy making money with what I learned.
I was going to say, you know what's cool too, Russell, is, you know, there was a lot of networking opportunities out there for folks too. Cause
hugely.
It's not like we get up and talk and then we're gone. Like, you know, we hang out, we try to answer questions, we talk to people. You know, there's some partnerships that form from that out there. You know, it's really cool. You know, you also get to meet the other people in your community, like other
and I never and I never bought anyone a beer, not one single person.
Did you drink beer?
I think I did. Let's just put it this way: I bought a lot of beers for or whatever they wanted for a long time, Theme Zoom people. But I'm not going to make that promise. But I did get a lot. I did get to know some of our guys that have been with Theme Zoom for a long time. Actually showed up Network Empire Live. I mean at OMG Live, and I didn't expect that. So it was really good to see some of you. We've had people on our list in our community for almost a decade now. Just really amazing when you know how long these relationships are building. Like, I can say that we probably know about 2 or 3% of our list of folks now after this many years.
Yeah, and I think the real key, and you know, Russ, you know this about me, but I mean, we just want to help people is what it comes down to. I mean, there's so many niches out there and so many markets. I mean, you can really just make money wherever you are. So.
Yeah, exactly. I had a really great conversation with someone who's not on this call. Her name's Janet, and I know that she's been with OMG and Project X for a while. One of the conversations I had with her, she lives fairly locally to us, is, you know, this idea of abundance mindset. And where is the line between an abundance mindset and secrets or proprietary information? It was a really, really cool concept because the reality is, in terms of what can be done out there, of the different tips and the things that you can achieve, this is also something I was talking to Sue about the other day at our weekly Italian cafe meeting that we have right here in Scottsdale, Espresso Rich meeting. Is, you know, there's a lot of things to be done, but where do you draw the line with the technological secrets and tips? How do you create an intimate environment in which you know where the line gets drawn? Because there really is a point when you're teaching certain kinds of technologies, tips like domain authority stacking and the rest, where if everybody and their brother knows, it does change the playing field. Yet at the same time, in terms of opportunity, there's enough to go around. There's enough for all of us to be millions and millions, you know, literally multimillionaires over. So the question then is, how do you create a community circle of trust in which everybody can talk about these ideas and they can be communicated with being physically present with each other, at the same time being a massive, abundant mindset? Where do you draw the line? And to me, that's always been a very important role of the live event. The live event where, you know, you can sit and talk about these things, look at where the lines are, look at a person's individual business, because everybody's not in the same business. And that's one thing I would ask all of you guys to consider is pick a path. Decide, you know, Sue says this all the time, what the heck are you selling? Make a business decision about how you're going to make money. If you're going to go for local, go for local. If you're going to be an affiliate, go for the affiliate. If you're going to build your own product, build your own product. If you're going to consult, consult. And I'm not saying you can't do more than one. I'm just suggesting that you pick that path so that when you get into an environment like the live event, you're able to apply. This is true in our live courses as well. You have something to apply, you guys.
Yep.
Because when you don't, it's funny. Again, Sue is really huge on this for our live technical trainings and all of our things that we have independent of the OMG Live event. Is when someone arrives and they haven't picked a path, I'd say, what do you think, Sue? It's like 5 times more difficult. It's just really.
It's more than that. It's like 20
impossible.
to 30 times more difficult.
Right, and so that's what I'm looking at is, and Dave and Mike have been good at this as well, is making sure that you have something to sink your teeth in, to make sure that you pick a path. And if you don't, you're kind of like punching at air. All of our theories and ideas, you don't have anything. It seems obvious, right? You don't have anything to apply it to. If you don't have something in which to apply amazing secrets, what good are they? I mean, Jimmy and Sue and I can show you how to get ranked for a difficult Amazon product in, less than 30 days. That'll, what was it, Jimmy? Got Kavanaugh $20,000 for a chocolate, $20,000 for a chocolate bar in 1 month or something stupid.
Yeah, in 3 weeks.
But if you hadn't, but if you hadn't this, oh, sorry, I'm trying to make it not seem unrealistic. but I mean, that's Kavanaugh, right? Because Jimmy's got friends in the Kavanaugh family, and that's so good for them. But you got to understand that if you don't have a chocolate bar, then you can't experience that, right? So pick a path. But one thing I would recommend at Nashville Live is decide where you're going to go. Follow the practices. Pick something. Aim. Know where you're going to go so that you can apply these technologies. Hey, and you know what? There is nothing wrong with going the consulting route to start off. That's what I did. Before I met Sue, I got the worst possible, most intense, gigantic, consulting gig I possibly could, and she just took one look at me and said, "You're an idiot." Because I was a brand new person, and it was I don't know if you said that word, Sue, but I kind of was. It was like, huge account. Like, I had no business, biting off that amount. I had to go to other consultants and the rest, right? So, but this is how you learn. It's like you get in there, start applying the stuff, and at least that's how you begin to apply the technologies when you pick a path. So that's really the point here, is really look at what's being offered by OMG, Project X, Juggernaut. When you come to a live event, have your ducks in a row so that you can really begin to use as even if you jump into something else later, make sure that you have that as a business model so that you can really start applying these techniques. Have I said it? Give me a one if everybody understands what I've said. Okay. Give me some feedback here.
Yeah, give a 1 if you understand what, and it's important too. I struggle. I saw a question a little bit earlier from someone who's just starting out too, and one of my Achilles heels when I got into SEO was constantly studying SEO, study, and I was like, well, I don't know if that's the right thing. I don't know if I should do that, and then I go back and study some more. My love about SEO is research and testing. But what my hindrance is sometimes I don't always execute what I'm doing. Other than
I would also like to point out, Jimmy, that even though you were making a lifestyle passion of research as a prodigy data analyst and SEO analyst, you still had a gig, a consulting gig, that was generating for your consulting gig, for your client that you were working with, 7 figures.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean, it's definitely... Yeah, we all have our beginnings, but one thing I want them to do, part of picking a path is taking action. When you learn something, put it to action. Don't overthink things sometimes. Sometimes you just have to walk through the process to really get and have success. Even entrepreneurs, how many businesses do they put up when they fail before they have a successful one? There's many instances where they
dozens upon dozens of failures before I know that I personally, and it really is partially about your team and your group and your mastermind group, of which OMG Live is all about that. I just have a quick question for those of you still on the call, and then we'll kind of start to wrap this up. How many of you are doing local search consulting? This will help me. Local search consulting from Day Job Killer, the early launch Day Job Killer with OMG Live. OMG, and are still walking that path and are planning on have already been to OMG Nashville Live or are planning on coming. Because that'll help us sculpt. If you guys are wanting a lot more local stuff, that'll be really helpful. We know Sue and Jimmy and I have talked about ramping that up for Nashville Live as rest. I'm talking to Mike Long as well. Okay. Yeah, okay, good. So quite a few you're still hitting the local pavement. That's good to know. Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's just the thing. You just implement what you learn, pick a path, and go down it.
Okay, great.
It's just, you just don't want
Can I ask a
Okay,
question?
yeah, go ahead, Sue.
How many folks here have actually got a site up. Give me a 1. And give me a 2 if you've never put up a blog.
It's okay, we're all friends here in this mastermind. Okay, good. Wow, some of you have multiple. Okay, and a few of you do not.
Okay, so for those of you, and there's quite a surprising number to me, who have never put up a blog, just get one up. Don't worry about your keywords. Don't worry. Pick a product, but don't worry about it being the perfect product. Don't worry about the perfect keyword. Get in there, get your first blog up, understand how a blog works, play with some plugins, play with a theme, and just get your feet wet.
Grab one of the products that Mike has laid down in the members areas that you're a part of. There's plenty in your PX, OMG, Juggernaut. Use one of those just to get the site up. Okay, even if you have to do the launch jack. You know what's good about the launch jack model that Mike taught early on is it just gatered on. We even teach that in our Tech Foundation trainings as well. It's like buy button first. Get that thing up there, get that thing installed, get the WordPress up there, so you can fail rapidly until you succeed. It doesn't have to be perfect, you guys. It's not ready, aim. That whole. I would say that one of the things I've learned from Sue, Matt, other partners we have in our holdings companies, Mike Long, Greg Morrison, I've learned that if I'm sitting there waiting for perfection, it's like ready, aim, it really, you have to create some, Sue, you call it jails, right? Some places to fail, some beta areas, some test areas, right?
Yeah.
Just get it up there. And I really learned a lot with the developmental program, Jim, because Jim is saying I resemble that one, Mark. I really learned with programmers and developers how important that is. And then I took that knowledge that Sue, Kelly, Kevin, all of our high-end Google-level developers that work for our software plan, Sue and I have laid out, and Jimmy and I are laying out, that it's okay to fail. Create a jail, create a test site, put it up. Think in terms of development, but do not put a WordPress blog up, guys. Don't wait for perfection. Get one buy button up there. Take one of the programs Mike Long has given, put it up there, get that blog installed, and even if it's not perfect, you've got this jail. We're doing that stuff all the time with software development, aren't we, Sue?
All the time. So,
all the time.
Like, think of that first site as a development site, as a test area. And once you have it up, a lot of the other stuff that you hear in the members area is going to start to make a lot more sense. And you can go back and you can tweak that site. You'll eventually get to the point where it's like, man, okay, I know enough now. If I started all over again, I'd do it completely differently. And that's the time to start your second site. But in the meantime, just do it. Just jump in with both feet.
All right, fantastic. DarylFerguson.com. Let's give him a shout out.
Excellent.
You shouldn't have put your name in there if you didn't want traffic, Daryl. Everybody go to DarylFerguson.com. DarrelFerguson. Give it a little kick with some traffic. Leave it open on your browser for like 20 seconds for him. That helps him, okay? All right, you guys. Did you guys know that time on site will give you a little kick? Okay, good. All right, you guys, we're going to teach you a bunch of stuff, so I'm so happy. I think we've kind of dragged it out, but I'm very, very, very excited about your guys' life being changed, and gals. For those of you who did give us a 2 for having actually earnings reports, as Mike Long calls it, and not getting a WordPress blog up, pick a product, think like a programmer or developer. It doesn't matter if it's $1 million software program that Sue is designing every day, or if it's your first blog ever. The principles are the same. Put up a test, fail freely, and you'll succeed fast. Ask your mastermind group, ask your team, listen to what Greg Morrison has to say, look at the tips, one step at a time, find out who your team is, come to live events to become intimate with people who've failed so you don't have to, and start rolling it out, you guys. Thanks so much. This has been Russell Wright on behalf of Mike Long, OMG, Juggernaut, omgmachines.com/live.php. We look forward to seeing you there. And also, Sue, thank you so much for taking time out of the developmental cycle today to be on this event for all these students. It's a real gift and honor. You have been, I know it's kind of a little bit mushy, but you have been the person who has kicked my ass for 7 years straight, looking at me like, okay, don't be afraid to think a little bit bigger, darling. And now we're rolling at 7 figures, moving on to 8 in multiple companies. And that's how I know, guys, if I can do it, right, Sue? If I can do it.
Absolutely.
Take it from Sue. If I can do it, you guys can do it. Jimmy, anything else to close that with?
I don't think so. I just hope everybody had a good time for my fill-in this week. We'll see if it happens again or not.
Guys, last thing. Give us a 1 if you learned some stuff from Jimmy Kelly today that you've never seen before and it seems reasonable to apply. And a 2. Actually, don't even give me a 2. Don't even answer. Just kidding. Bob, if you give me a 2, that's all right. We'll move it on next time. All right, thank you so much. We're going to wrap this up. And again, when you guys get a chance, don't tell him we said to do this, but give Mike Long a happy, mushy on his Facebook page. Congratulations for his new.
Just say congratulations.
You just say congratulations. I don't know how he's going to react to it, but we just really want to send a shout out. Mike Long has been the most generous and loving, on-point person as a joint venture partner that we could possibly have.
Absolutely.
And we're very excited. Very grateful for that. All right, you guys. Talk to you later. Yeah, we're excited too. Yeah. He might even bring her to the live event. We'll see.
That'd be cool.
Okay.
Get to see it.
Yeah. All right. If he even should. All right. Talk to you guys
Thanks
later.
so much, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Let's see here. Which screen can you see? Do you guys see the screen? Yeah, which one though? Are you seeing the Google one, or are you seeing my desktop? Okay, the icons. All right, I'll just move it over here. Pull this over. Dump some of this stuff over here. Okay, this should be a little better now. You guys see this okay? You guys can see the Google search now? Excellent. So, I don't know if you guys just want me to go into it. Yes, I do play EverQuest, as well as Elder Scrolls Online. I am a gamer at heart, so I don't get to play very often, but occasionally I get on there. So, all right. So basically, once you have a product, and your product just kind of depends on basically what you're looking for, right? Let me open up one other thing here just so you guys know everything that I use. Mike caught me off a little bit by surprise. I wasn't planning on going over this right off the bat, so bear with me 1 second. Okay. What's my master password? Nobody's getting the master password. Okay, so what we're looking at, can you guys see the Google search here? Give me a 1 if you can see the Google search, or if you're still seeing my desktop. Okay. All right. For those of you that are seeing the desktop, you might need to drop off and come back in, as my guess. Because there's only 2 or 3 of you that are having that problem. So basically, once you figure out what the heck you want to rank for, you've come up with your product, and it's just a matter of going in and optimizing. So when you optimize for your Amazon page, like, it's good to put other keywords that you want to rank for within this header here that you're going to rank for Amazon. But the other part of the coin is, if you're going to rank in Google, you have to kind of clean this up. So Google, since the Panda 4.0 update, has really been hammering, even if it's a high authority site, they don't like over-optimization. So it's something you really have to be careful of. That also works when we talk about going over the citation blanketing methods. it's the same kind of thing. Give you an example on one of them, so you guys can kind of see what I'm referring to here. It's usually the ones that are sitting down on the bottom, second page typically. It's not that they still won't rank, but you won't get as high of a boost as you would normally if everything else is kosher. So key points to take away is, for this example specifically, it would be the far infrared heating pad for the search query. And you can see that that's not heavily, far infrared therapeutic pad. It's got large heating kind of sprinkled in it. It's not over optimized. There's a lot that you'll see where people try to really just stuff that keyword in there as many times as you can. Explain what you're. Hold on, just reading a question here. Yeah, so we're going to start from the point of hopefully you guys have picked a product and what you're looking for. Might be able to get Brad to go over that a little bit later tonight. I typically have, like for me personally, I've always done my Amazon stuff for either clients or other people. I've never delved into the product myself. I mean, I've done a few of them for companies, but I've never done it for just my personal stuff. So, over-optimized, we're talking about having the keyword that you want to rank for too many times. And in Google, this is the title to them, right? So when you're doing your search in Google, this is what it's pulling back from. The other thing you have to be aware of is these URLs are dynamic. So with that being said, by dynamic, what I mean is this can change here, this actual URL. So, for instance, if you go in and you change your title too much, then that can adjust this URL string here too. So, I always take time to kind of carefully craft the keywords I actually want to rank for on my Amazon page before I go down that road of really trying to push it hard in Google. It doesn't mean that you'll necessarily lose rankings and things sometimes, but I've seen it where if it gets changed too much, I have lost the Google rankings. Not that it hurt me in Amazon. So just something to be aware of when you're going in and trying to do the optimization. The other parts you want to go in and do is make sure you get your keywords in here, right? So one thing I like to do, and this goes in with the ranking as well, is I use TLKT. So this is the last keyword tool, and this is able to give me my current LSI versions that I need. So LSI, for those that don't know, is an example of, so let's say I want to rank for OMG, okay? Well, Google expects to see links for OMG, of course, to get you to rank, but in addition, they might be looking for, links that say David Mills, Mike Long, Greg Morrison, things like that. So on Google's end, it's a little suspicious if all the links are coming in are only OMG, and you're not seeing anything that's like, keywords that are related to what you're trying to rank for. Give me a 1 if that makes sense. Okay, good. Yeah, so you'll get a bigger boost if you're doing links, and of course, thanks, Josh. Basically, you're going to get a bigger boost, and plus, with the way that Greg has been teaching, his anchors, you can easily roll this into the same way you link build. You can actually get bigger boost by utilizing the same kind of method with your link building. So, just give an example. So, what I would do is I'd go in here and I would create a new project. I'm just going to stick to the example that we're looking at here. So it's going to be far infrared heating pad is the keyword. So I just type that in. and we'll have to let this run for a minute or two. The thing with this tool is it goes out and finds these in real time. It's not pulling it from existing data set somewhere. It's pulling it like right now as I just hit enter. So we're just going to let this run for a minute, and I'll come back to it here in just a little bit. And then show you how to use some of the LSI features and stuff on there. Anyway, so I'm going to get the main keyword, and I also want to try and put in probably 2 or 3 of the most profitable LSIs in here as well, because even though Amazon might only want to rank you for a specific keyword within Amazon, Google loves the variety. So even though you're targeting the main keyword, you have a chance of popping up for these other LSIs. And especially, this all comes down based on your domain authority, right? So domain authority, where is the, okay. So of course it died out on me. So this is an example of the Foursquare page, right? So we didn't have to apply very many links to get this. This is on page 2. It was on page 1 originally. It was on page 1 originally before the Panda 4.0 update that happened in May. So since then, there's a lot of different things that kind of came into play. So these pages, even though they had high domain authority before, are now subject to being over-optimized, and the overall page layout, your schema.org markup, if any of that's wrong, it can actually cause a drop in your rankings. So most of the time, it's not always related to just your link building. A lot of the things that come with Panda could be your on-page factors. One of the on-page factors is your page layout that comes with the Panda algorithm. So there's a certain, and you can find this in your Google Analytics, but you can put in these URLs and see, like, Google wants to see content that happens probably within, the top 80 to 70% of the page before content comes into play. So you can see as this being an example, I mean, we clearly didn't over-optimize because this only had 3 links. But on the other hand, it did drop a page in the rankings, but it's simply because content doesn't actually start until you get all the way down here for this, right when it begins Tootsie's World. So you can see, like, this is a huge difference here on your page structure before text actually comes. So that's something to pay attention to when you're picking your citations and things you want to use for blanketing purposes. That's a big part of it now. Whereas before, basically, you could blast any of them and they would all do well. Now, ones that you might pick that end up like these, you might only be able to get them to page 2. So hopefully that makes sense. All right. So blanketing means that applies to all sites. It's not just even it's not just the citations. It would be all of them. So let's see. I'll just answer a few questions. So some people are confusing what LSI is. Trying to think. So basically, they're words that mean the same but might not necessarily be the same keyword, if that makes sense. So,
hey Jimmy, I'm back. By the way.
Like instead of car. Oh, okay, good.
Great,
Instead of car, you could do auto as an LSI, if that makes sense. So because these mean the same thing to Google, but that's what LSI means. So it's like a synonym of whatever the main keyword is you're trying to use. Does that make sense?
And so everybody knows the difference between a synonym and an LSI keyword. There is a difference. A synonym means something specific, which is 2 words that mean kind of either the same thing or nearly the same thing. Like, I don't know, let's say shoes and not sneakers. Sneakers would be more like LSI. Let's say shoes and scoots. Let's say that scoots was a word that people use and they literally meant exactly shoes. Then at that point, that would be a synonym, okay? But car and automobile, by the way, are synonyms. But car and auto would be LSI, so they're related, but they're not quite synonyms. There isn't a huge distinction with that. Great, Sean Auden pointed out, lawyer and attorney are synonyms. Now, synonyms are always LSI, but all LSI are not necessarily, strictly speaking, synonyms for language purposes. This isn't a big deal, by the way. Synonyms is close enough. I just wanted to make that distinction so people didn't get confused. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Yeah, and so, another thing where the keyword might be different is just best and top. That's an example Greg gives in his KLKS site of how he does his titles. And that's a good example of an LSI because they're two different words, but they mean the same.
All right, great.
So moving on from there, I think... so that's something to be aware of. Somebody else was asking, the blanketing method, what we call it, is the domination. It's in the project Juggernaut section. So you can do this is one of the examples that we show a lot in here. So the blanketing method is we ranked them for their Serve Pro. This is their money page. They have their Facebook, right? And they have the BBB, and they have their business listing, and they have their yellow pages, they have their video.
Yeah, it's total page one domination. And just so you know, for Serve Pros, we actually have several clients that are Serve Pros. Nashville SEO has several clients that are Serve Pros. And this water damage is by far their number one keyword. Lee is asking what LSI stands for. It stands for latent semantic indexing, but it doesn't matter. Really, the things, of course, that we're going to really focus on when it comes to SEO are going to be, as always, where are our links coming from, what is the URL, and what is the anchor text. And that's the main thing we need to focus on. Everything else is really just noise. I mean, there's just not much else going on when it comes to that. So little details like latent semantic index versus synonyms, we just don't worry about them. Just understand that Google has a decent command of language, has a decent understanding of language. All right, go ahead, Jimmy.
Okay. So basically what you want to be concerned with is, because these have such a high DA, you basically want to take advantage of that. And as well as the citations, just like anything else, you want to make sure that these pages aren't over-optimized, otherwise they won't rank. So it's not necessarily the links that you're going to apply, it's the way you set up your on-page optimization that's going to make or break the links that you're going to apply. So with that, basically, all you're going to do is you're going to come in here, and you have to make sure you're hitting the right URL, which is something we covered in the last Webby. Not sure I need to go over that part again. But you're going to pick your right URL, and always.
Definitely cover that again. I think that'd be nice for people to know because we have a lot of new people today.
Okay, so let me just go into.
This is also explained in the last 5 pages of your blueprint, but it's still just worth it to see Jimmy talk about it right now.
Okay, so let's say you're looking at this right here. So I went into this based off of one of the categories in Amazon. You guys can kind of see that this has a lot of stuff in the URL that doesn't make any sense. So I'm just going to take this, and let's say that I didn't know that this was wrong, but before I send backlinks to something, I will make sure it's the actual URL that Google's indexing. So if I take this and put it into the Google search, you just hit Google search, and chances are you're not going to see anything. This one came up, but you could clearly see that this is a different URL than the one that you put in to do the search for. Does that make sense? You see that difference there? I'm trying to go back to that page here. Yeah. You see how this is the same? Same product, but different URL. So the one that we found from doing the Google search is going to return the right one to send links to. So before you start your link building campaign, you want to make sure that you have the right URL that Google is actually indexing. Same thing goes with any of your citations as well.
And how do we do that? Jimmy, can you review that? Because that's one of the critical things we want people to know.
Yeah, so I took that. So you could either pick which one you're going to do, or I copied it and I did a Google search for it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what came up. And when you open it, it's the clean URL version of what you did the search for. So this is the one that's indexing. And that's very critical, because I've seen a lot of people that are sending links to other variations of it, like they might have only gutted up to here, but then they're not seeing any ranking results because this isn't the URL that Google is indexing. You know, they're taking it from this portion back. So there's another thing. So part of the way that Amazon organizes their structure, you know, it's based off of, so for instance.
Yes, and that's correct. You use the clean URL. Let me make an announcement. Now, this is an acceleration webinar. We don't normally do much Q&A on these acceleration webinars because they're more meant to allow us to do reporting so you can watch over our shoulders as we show you our real businesses and the real successes that we're having. However, on this particular one, we're going to try to do a little bit more Q&A than normal. I've actually brought Fletch live. Fletch, are you there? I've actually made Fletch an organizer just in case he can help out with that. Fletch, are you there? I don't know if Fletch is there or not. Oh, I think he is.
Hey, Mike, can you hear me?
Yep. Fletch, normally Fletch has his own office hours, but he happened to crash my office hours, so I quickly drafted him. So if you have questions, Fletch is very knowledgeable in a broad range of what's going on with OMG, and so maybe as much as you can, Fletch, while you're around, would you mind answering a few questions in the little question box?
Absolutely. I'm going to bring that up right now so I can jump on some of those.
Really appreciate that, Fletch. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Okay. And again, normally on these acceleration webinars, we're going to be a little bit more focused just to have you kind of watching over our shoulder. Right now, Jimmy is showing you over his shoulder how he has success with his own Amazon listings and helping others. And the great thing about that is that we're benefiting from that. We're getting to see how the money's being made right now over Jimmy's shoulder. So it's a little bit different than our traditional office hours. Usually our traditional office hours with Greg and with with Greg and with Fletch are going to be more Q&A. You'll bring your questions. But in this case, in this acceleration webinar, more the topic is us reporting. On this particular event, you've got Jimmy Kelly. We have Brad Mabry coming on. We also have Alex Gold, who's going to talk about keyword research for CPA and affiliate marketing. He's got a really neat method that we're going to start talking to you more and more about. Give me the number one if that distinction makes sense. Give me the number one if that distinction makes sense to you. This way, one of the things we really try to do, the way that David Mills designed OMG, is to really help you have so many different angles on things, and with having all those different angles, it really helps explode our success. All right, great, Jimmy. Please continue along.
Okay. And yeah, some of you that are asking about the canonical, it is the same as what you would see in the page, but I'm just trying to show them the simplest way for folks to understand that might not have that technical background to find it. But you are correct with the canonical for those that brought it up. So this is an example of, this is the category page for this if you're doing a search in Amazon, right? So another thing that's kind of a pain in the butt with Google, so typically if you do proper siloing, then that kind of sets prioritization of what should be ranked. With Amazon, they don't typically do that, and I'd say with probably 90% of citation sites, they don't do that. So because they don't set up like categories and proper siloing structure, that means that because Google has chosen to go with domain authority, that means any page within that category can be up for grabs for taking the ranking. So basically what you would take here is, let's say one of your products was on this page, right? Or let's say Google is ranking this category page already. Okay, so, and you've sent links and it's just not letting go of it. And let's say, you know, you've sent tons of PBNs or whatever you use to rank the page. But in Amazon's listings, you're not quite up on that page 1. So you have to get up on that page 1 with some keywords to get Google to let go of the rankings of the category page and only display your product specifically. I don't see that 100% of the time, but I see it probably like 70% of the time. So to do that, that all comes down to verified reviews. So within Amazon, if you go in and you can get verified reviews, so a verified review is if somebody bought your product and then they leave a review of their experience after they've used the product for a little bit. And once you get enough of those, you should end up on this first page, in which case, if you've already done your link building and things like that, as soon as it hits the first page, you'll be able to take over in Google for the ranking of the category page, so where it will only display this specific product if that was yours. So, and in some instances, you know, you don't have to do tons of reviews. You know, I mean, this one specifically is only like 38. You know, 26. There's very few reviews, so like this would be an easy market to break into if you were trying to get into a new product. But so basically, that's what you'd be looking at. You know, obviously these top ones have a few more reviews, but if you only had to get 100 reviews, that'd be pretty simple to do. So let's see. So that handles like the meats and guts of what you're looking for.
So let's just kind of review things. So there's a category page. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
And where would they find the category page?
Well, typically when you do a search, that's what Google indexes by default. So if you have a product and you want to rank in Google, more times than not, you'll see just the category page of Amazon. Right. As opposed to a specific product. If you see a specific product, then more times than not you have a competitor that already knows some of these tricks where they can get their product indexed instead of the category page.
All right, great. And now, okay, great. He's mentioning reviews. Okay, now Sophia says he's mentioning reviews. I thought the OMG Amazon plus Google method was around not doing reviews. It's really around maximizing your reviews, so you can do much, much more with much fewer reviews, Sophia. So you do typically need to have some sort of reviews in Amazon to get somewhere. Of course, ranking in Google is going to help you get lots and lots more reviews, but you might be able to take a small fraction of the reviews that somebody else has. For example, someone else on the category page might have 300 reviews, and you might only have 10 reviews, and you still might be able to take over the category page. Is that correct, Jimmy?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, great.
So basically, it's just a matter of, you know, so 70% of the time, I mean, I guess I've just been dealing with a lot of big keywords, but with most of the smaller type keywords, you don't have to go out and do the reviews, but there's instances where if you're going after a highly competitive keyword term, you have to get your product on that page 1 of the Amazon category page. And to do that is by getting verified reviews done. Does that make sense? Give me a 1 if that makes sense. So I'm not saying you have to get the reviews done, but in very highly competitive keywords, you have to get those done.
All right, great. It seems like that's making sense to people. So you'll have to get some amount of reviews, but again, it's just so very different to get just a handful of reviews than to have to get, you know, dozens of reviews or hundreds of reviews. It's just so very different. All right, go ahead, Jimmy.
Yeah, so and somebody's asking what the difference is between a verified review versus a regular review. Verified review is somebody who's bought your product and then gives a review. A regular review is just a review, if that makes sense.
Right.
So
and the pretty typical technique that people use is that what they'll do is they'll make their product free for a short period of time, and then get some reviews from the people who get their product free. It's just just a very typical kind of thing that people do. Not everyone has to do that, but that is, again, one way of doing it. And it's certainly just a fine way of going. All right, please continue on, Jimmy.
yeah. And so basically from there, once you have all those kind of put in place, I typically use GSA, but sometimes I can get a little I don't know, it depends on how much you want to cover your tracks. I mean, one thing you can do is you can use a shortener, and okay, so for instance, you can go to a bit.ly. That's a pretty common shortener. So you could just paste a link to I'd recommend signing up for your own account, but you could come in here, and let's say this is the final URL that we decided that we're going to rank, and the one that Google's indexing. So I'll take that, and I'll put it into here, and I'll just shorten it. So now, here's my shortener back. That goes to there. So, for those that haven't seen a shortener, it's basically like a 301 is all it is. So if you paste this in, it 301s over to that one we just put in, even though it's not the same URL. So what people see, or competitors, when they research you just from that, they'll see a bit.ly link show up as one of the links, but behind it could be GSA behind it, if that makes sense. So grabbing that bit.ly, I would then take that and I would use this for my GSA campaign. Does that make sense? There's many other ways to rank this, but a lot of the other ways I'm going to share at the OMG Live event. It won't be over this Webby.
But this is great. I mean, you're really getting a full, thorough idea of how to do things correctly, and this is great. Like, this will really, really rocket you ahead when it comes to rankings. Okay, so Jimmy, can we discuss it? And again, this isn't going to be the only lesson that you have on Amazon plus OMG. This is an acceleration webinar, and with an acceleration webinar, what we do is we let you watch over our shoulder. It's not intended to be A to Z step-by-step instructions. It's there to give you a glimpse over our shoulder of what we're doing and how we're doing it. We have specific modules that are laid out step-by-step in your blueprint and in your training. But what we're doing right now is giving you a look over our shoulder at how it is that we're having success. Sorry, just basically, long story short, this really just goes back to my early days in internet marketing. When I was first getting started, I was sure one of the reasons why I wanted to get into internet marketing was not just the possibility of it, but the fact that I could just see a business happen on somebody's computer screen. Because if it's an internet business, at the end of the day, it has to be based on inputs to the computer, things that you type in, you move a mouse around, you click it, type some more things, and eventually cash comes out of your screen. Whereas the very first business I tried to put together was a game store, and there's so many variables, so many things going on when it comes to a physical business that it just winds up being much more confusing. And so I really wanted to see where the money was being made right now. I wanted to watch over somebody else's shoulder who's making lots of money, somebody who's making tens of thousands of dollars a month, and see how they were doing it. How what were they doing with their business? What were they typing into their keyboard? What mouse clicks were they doing that's helping them have success? And it's funny because I looked around and I was sure I was sure that some of these products that I was buying or live events that I would go to, that somebody would show me that. But in reality, that didn't happen. Now, how many people here have felt like at some point, of course, before you joined OMG, that you'd really like to be able to watch over somebody else's shoulder while they're having success, so you can actually see the actual moves that they're making and understand what they're doing. And then, of course, you can make it your own. You can make your own moves up from there. But it really does. It just matters so much, and it really accelerates you. I'll tell you this: as soon as I finally saw how the money was being made over somebody else's shoulder, and I'll tell you how I made it happen. I wasn't very successful in school. I was a B and a C student. I'm mostly like a C student. Barely graduated, but but I was pretty popular in high school. So I used the same skills that made me popular in high school to get together some of the people that were having success in the internet marketing world, and got to literally go into their homes and watch over their shoulders as they made the money. And as soon as that happened, within weeks, maybe months, I was making tons of money. And I've always remembered that lesson when it comes to OMG. And I always thought of that as something that accelerated me. I always thought it would accelerate me if I could, sure, maybe I could piece it together by myself, locked away in a cave or something like that. But if I could just watch over somebody's shoulder, that would really accelerate me. That's why we have these acceleration webinars, is so you can watch over our shoulder and it can accelerate you. But it's not the entire step-by-step instructions. Those are going to appear inside of your Project X blueprint and inside of your membership training modules. You'll be able to ask Fletch and Greg questions in your coaching office hour sessions. These particular webinars, these particular special acceleration webinars that I do are more to accelerate you, to allow us to report to you what we're doing, and so you can see over our shoulder how we're having success. Give me the number one if that really thoroughly makes sense to you. And if it doesn't, just go ahead and type in a question for me so I can understand where you're being confused. Because I don't want somebody sitting on this event saying, where's the step-by-step? It's a very valid feeling that you'd have, but the reality is and we have the step-by-step, okay? That's in OMG, but this event is for us to report to you, for you to be able to see over our shoulder. Okay, so Jimmy, now one of the things that you figured out that's so powerful, and you may have covered this before, but I'll say it again because I really want to have everybody be up to speed with us, is that we want to be able to, by the way, if you just joined Project Juggernaut and you want the blueprint, email me at omg@omgmachines.com. That's omg@omgmachines.com. I just got a couple requests for that. Now, Jimmy, for the most part with OMG and with Greg Morrison, we're relying on private blog networks. These are high-quality websites that we own and we control, and we're using those to link back to our websites and our web properties. But one of the things that you've brought to us, when you started teaching inside of OMG, is you've shown us that with a website that has very high domain authority, like Amazon, or like YouTube, or like Facebook, or like Weebly, with those websites, we don't have to necessarily use the highest quality backlinks. Now remember, Greg says in his training there's three things we need to worry about. We need to worry about our anchor text. We need to worry about our URL. If you don't understand what that means right now, that's okay. Okay, you're just beginning to learn, and that's fine. These details will help you understand over time. But we need to worry about our anchor text. We need to worry about our URL and where our links are coming from. And it turns out that we always want to send high quality. Well, not always, but as a rule of thumb, we always want to send just private blog network links, just high quality private blog network links, or links from our social sites like Facebook, like YouTube, like Amazon to our webpage. So just our high quality social links and our private blog network links. But when it comes to ranking, like our Amazon pages or our YouTube pages, the rules, Jimmy, they're totally different. And we can actually use essentially other people's websites to rank our websites. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
All right, Greg, can you take us inside of that?
Yeah, so basically, what I would do, can you see my screen still, Mike?
We can. Can you do the thing where you do Control Plus, or we probably can't do that, can we? Or maybe change screen resolution so we can see a little bit better?
Yeah,
I don't know if we can or not. We'll do our best. And with our step-by-step training videos, we really, really bend over backwards for you to be able to see with clarity. It is not always possible on an acceleration webinar in this particular case. But again, this isn't so much quite for step-by-step instructions, but this is really more to give you acceleration over our shoulder. All right, I don't think that Jimmy can particularly zoom in, but he'll just try to help as best as possible orient you. Right now, Jimmy, you're in a program called GSA, is that correct?
Yeah, this is GSA.
Okay, great.
And there's a few mods that I do on this. Well, even since some of the stuff that we did for the for some of the training, but I've just found that if you have a smaller list, this can help people a little more. I have a pretty big list, and so I can get away with a lot more abuse. But people starting out, that list is the hardest thing to come by. So,
yep.
So when you come into this,
and what is that a list of, Jimmy?
Basically targets that you can put backlinks on.
And so what he means by targets is with this method, we're going to use other people's websites to rank our, let's say, Amazon pages or our YouTube videos. And what we need to do is we need to have a list of places where we can do things like post blog comments, that blog comment can link back to our say our Amazon listing. Is that correct, Jimmy?
Yeah. So basically for this first part, I still keep in my main keyword right here, but for the second part, this is where the LSI come in. So if you come back in, we ran this keyword drill for this specific keyword, and the one that I like to use it's called Jimmy supporting keywords. So this is the same as your highly relevant, except it's only the money keywords. So they're LSI that are also big money makers. So basically taking out all the fluff, even if they're LSI.
Now, how do we know somebody's a moneymaker, or how do we start figuring that out, Jimmy?
Well, I'll show you on here. So you just select that from the list and hit Apply Filter. And then what you'll be left with, this one doesn't even actually have enough on there. Probably had to run the other one. We'll have to go with just LSI, I think, on this one. So basically what this tool does, I mean, if you want me to show it for a minute. So basically you got your keyword, here's your cost per click, this is how many clicks it gets per day on your PPC, this is how many searches it gets, and you got your broad and your phrase competitors, and then here's your LSI and your Bayes score, and the uses is how many times the top 20 pages use it within their own text. So the most important ones, as far as LSI goes, are your LSI and Bayes score combination. The one that my filter specifically does is make sure that you have money coming in with it, which is typically based off your cost per click. And I usually look for a certain amount of money to do that. But this one doesn't generate high enough money for it to pass my filter. I can adjust the percentage on there, but we don't need to go into that here. So basically what you do is you just need to pick about 10, I usually do 10 to 20 of these now, and these are what I'm going to use as my LSI. So for instance, we got heating pads and infrared pads, and I try to get other ones that are similar but not the same, infrared heat. And so that's what I'm going to come back over here and put into the LSI. So your LSI is going to be spin tax. If you guys see, do heating pad pipe, and then infrared pad, and then you can do like, whatever other combinations that you find in your LSI list that you want to use. You're trying to get 15 to 20 of these of your LSIs. So once I complete that, all the other settings are the same as what we did for the training.
And that training is in your domination area in your OMG, Project X and Project Juggernaut membership area. Go ahead, Jim.
Correct. Yeah, and so once you get, I mean, I only put 2 in here, but you need to get 15 to 20 of these put into this for your LSI. And then you can just fire away. You know, what we put for the URL, we put in that bit.ly shortener that we used. But once that's there, you just fire away. And usually doesn't take too long before it starts ranking.
Great. All right.
You know, there's obviously other things that we can do and cleaner methods, but you have to come to live to learn that.
Now, Jimmy, can you pull up your like a drawer, you know, like a image tool, and kind of graphically represent what's going on for people? This will be great. Jimmy's a great teacher and can really show you how this works.
Okay. So this is your Amazon URL. And then we'll pull over, this is going to be the bit.ly shortener that you put it in.
And what's the bit.ly shortener going to do for us?
Basically, it just creates a 301. Like, with
301. 301. Yeah, good.
So 301 is basically, it's just it's a way to tell the search engine bots that the page you're looking for is now this one over here. So it's like, you know, pointing the finger to a different website. Not the finger, but a finger to a different website.
Yeah, so what it is doing is automatically redirecting this link, okay? I mean, number one, if that makes sense. And what's the point of that redirection?
So the point of this redirection is if you get a competitor, right, so even on a, so you could have a competitor come in and say, hey, this guy's using bad links, and they could report those bad links against that page. Now, a manual reviewer isn't going to go in and they're not going to penalize Amazon, but they'll make it so that URL won't show up in the SERPs. That's still possible to do.
Right. So they could take your in this case thermal heating pad page theoretically, and they could move it. The Google representative could move it out of the Google index. And so what we're doing is we're making it so your competitor is going to have a very hard time figuring out what it is that you're doing to rank in Google. Is that correct, Jimmy?
Correct. Yeah, and basically, you know, so when we apply the GSA links, if your competitor comes and looks at the Amazon URL, they'll see one link coming in from bit.ly. So, you know, that's not going to raise as many red flags. You know, but if, say, you had nothing but GSA behind that Amazon URL, you're going to be in, you could potentially be putting your Google ranking at risk, not the Amazon, but the Google one.
Right. So what you're doing here is you're creating kind of an extra layer of stability and protection.
Right. That's correct.
Okay. Now, Jimmy, can you, well, I know you're going to do this anyways, but can you begin to explain how these link tools work? There's a lot of questions about what is GSA. And something that I want everybody here to know is that Jimmy already has a wonderful 5-page training sitting right at the end. It's the last 5 pages of your blueprint. And it's going to show you how to do this entire method, but just with fiber gigs. So you won't even need GSA in this case. So go ahead, Jimmy.
Yeah, so basically this is the process if you were looking at it for a bird's eye view. You know, essentially this is what's going to happen. And the GSA links, I mean, there's all kinds of links that come from that, right? You have 2.0s coming in from there. You have bookmarks.
What would a 2.0 be, Jerry?
2.0 would be something like a Weebly page or a Tumblr page. That's more like a 2.0 type link. You know, you also have trackbacks. You have
what's a trackback?
Trackback is like typically when you leave a comment, they'll say, "Hey, this page was talked about," and then usually within WordPress they'll leave a trackback link going back over to it, which is nothing more usually than a URL link in most cases. So, and there's all kinds of links. You know, you have social links. You know, you can get links from Facebook and You get Wikipedia, which is, there's just all kinds of different variations of links that you can get.
Okay, great. And how do we get those links?
Just by running GSA, basically. So the steps that they use when they go through and learn, a big part of making their GSA a powerful tool is being able to go out and build their lists. The power of the list is what's going to propel those rankings the most.
And so the power of the list in this case is Jimmy, for example, has some, what is it, like 30 million?
Yeah, I got 17 million verified.
17 million. Okay, so Jimmy has 17 million verified locations that he can post to. So these could be, let's say, for example, Joe Smith has a blog about audio, like stuff, audio equipment, and he allows people to post links on his blog, in the form of comments, because he wants to encourage people to comment on his blog. So Jimmy knows about that, and 17 million other places where he can post links to. But Jimmy, you're not going to post the full, in this case, you're not going to post the full Amazon link. You're going to post a bit.ly shortener.
Right. Yeah. And the bit.ly shortener, I mean, all your power and juice passes through there. You do get a little bit of a dip with using a 301. I think you lose about, I think it's 5 to 10%. But really, I mean, with GSA, that 5 to 10% can be made up pretty quickly with sheer quantity. So, while it's not 100%, it's still high enough that you're going to see the ranking effect. And you could use any other kind of URL shortener as long as it's got high DA. I typically don't use the Google shortener, though.
Why don't you do that?
Well, I try to tread lightly with a lot of the stuff that are Google-related properties.
Got it.
Just because you never know.
Yeah, a little easier for us to. And what we're trying to do here is we're just trying to make it a little bit more difficult for our competitors to I mean, really, just to even know what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just a safer method. I mean, even think if Amazon saw the links going to the page, I mean, they're just going to see the one bit.ly as well. So,
Right.
They're not going to freak out over, oh, we just sent like 500,000 links to a site. Some people don't take that well. So
Right.
it's just a way to just, get the rankings that you need, but also just kind of, just make sense and cover yourself a little bit in those aspects.
Okay, now what can we do if we're not ready to use GSA? Because GSA is pretty complex and it's relatively costly. What can they do instead?
Well, the stuff that we went over, there's a lot of good Fiverr gigs and stuff you can use. I mean, it's just a matter of being able to send as many of those links as you can. So, like with the blueprint, you can utilize a lot of that. I mean, Quark service is something that both me and Greg have found out that we both use a lot together. So,
Yep.
I mean, he does a lot of good link building campaigns and stuff that he offers in Fiverr.
Great, and so you actually detail this step-by-step inside of our blueprint. Now, if you're somebody who is just absolutely smashing it with Amazon, if you're making 10 grand a month or 50 grand a month, I got a message from somebody who makes 100 grand a month, actually 180 grand a month on Amazon. At that point, yeah, go for the max. You're going to want to get GSA down. Maybe even one of the things you can do when you're ready to take things to the next level, you can go to jimmykelly.org. Jimmy, would you pull up that website just so people can see it? Jimmy actually offers additional consulting. He doesn't do coaching inside of OMG. He is no OMG. He's a wonderfully contributive member. But he also offers jimmykelly.org. This is normally closed. The coaching that Jimmy has is normally closed. So normally the only way that you can get coaching with Jimmy is to go to OMG Live Nashville once per year, which is in November 15th. However, again, if you're, for example, somebody who's really looking to take their Amazon to their absolute next level, then what you can do is watch this page, and periodically, once every few weeks, Jimmy will open up for his coaching hours where he'll actually sit down with you and walk you through that stuff, and I highly recommend it. So this is www.jimmykelly, Kelly with an E, jimmykelly.org, and we'll point you back to this page later on in the event. Jimmy, and by the way, this is normally sold out, so Jimmy will normally only keep that open for a few hours. So if you're really looking forward to getting that, then definitely make sure to check back often. Okay, now Jimmy, with the fiber gigs, they're not going to be as powerful. So what we more want people to do is use them for less competitive keywords. Is that right?
Yeah, typically. I mean, you can use it for major competitive keywords as well. It's just you're going to usually have to incorporate verified reviews to your Amazon item as well in that case.
Right,
so,
great.
I mean, you can use it to rank for big, high ones. Just know that sometimes you have to kick the authority from that category page. So.
Okay, great.
And then also some people were asking, like, well, couldn't they just report the bit.ly shortener? Technically, you can't within Google's spam report rules. So in the spam report rules, you can only report on the page that's ranking and the links pointing to that page.
Yeah, and remember, people generally aren't going to even be able to find that bit.ly shortener. It's a little bit out there in the middle of nowhere. There's not like a tool to tell them. I mean, maybe there's some tools, but it's pretty specialized. It's going to be pretty hard. And that's one of the things that we're trying to do. You'll find out, for example, from Todd Spears that he has Spider Spanker Nuke that's going to allow you to really hide your private blog network links. And the reason why is not because we're ashamed of them. It's not because we're doing anything wrong. It's because we're just generally not going to run out to our competitors and jump up and down and say, this is how I'm humiliating you in the search engines.
Yeah, I mean, any method that we can use to protect what's going to make us money, I mean, wouldn't you rather take that approach than doing it not unknowingly and then ending up losing what's making you money? I mean, you'd be willing to take that one extra step just for that reason alone, I would hope.
Does that make sense? Give me a number one if that makes sense. And if you're not sure about it, then just type in a brief question so I can understand. Yeah, it seems like people understand this very well. Mike Hill gave me a 7. He really, really understands. Okay, great. Is everybody having fun tonight? Do you feel like we're about an hour into this event? Do you feel like you've had at least like one aha moment tonight? I mean, this is pretty cool, right? Yeah? This is awesome stuff. Okay. Well, I really appreciate that. What I'm going to do is, Brad Mabry, I want to bring you on to talk just a little bit about how people. Again, Brad's got a whole module, both inside of your Project Juggernaut members areas or Project X members areas, where you can go over his shoulder and see how it is that he uses Amazon plus Google. And he also has a module inside of your Blueprint. But Brad, and Brad works with Jimmy all the time. It's quite a great alliance that we have. Brad, a lot of people now. How many people are interested in Amazon, but you feel kind of stuck because buying a product is kind of expensive. It can kind of be difficult. You can run into problems. Give me the number one if you've ever had the feeling like it'd be cool to be on Amazon, but geez, what about the product side of things? Yeah, maybe even had some success, but I mean, I'm sure even people who have had success with products have also had some failures with products. Jimmy, you were working with somebody who went completely crazy and bought tens of thousands of dollars worth of pearls and never sold a single one.
Yeah, don't even get me started on those guys.
Yeah, so that can really be a problem. Brad, go ahead.
You want to know what's fun? I'll just tell you a little bit of story on this. So
sure.
So I was in charge of the SEO part of that company, and they were trying to branch off into the Amazon thing. And I actually knew how to do this way back then, but they said that I shouldn't be going over into the other areas of the company. And so it was the stupidest thing because of that company tanked because they spent all of their money on those products and would never let the SEO department take over those reins.
Right, because you could have ranked it in Google. And just so, if anyone's ever heard of Amazing Selling Machine, I spoke with Matt Clark on this specifically. And Matt's one of the two owners of Amazing Selling Machine. The other is Jason Katzenbach. And Matt and Jason were ranked 1 and 2 for a given diet product. I believe it's a supplement. So Matt was number 1, Jason was number 2. and Jason was selling 4 times as much of this product as Matt was, 4 times as much, even though he was number 2 instead of number 1. And I asked Matt how that was. He said, well, Google. Google was the key. So really, you can just get so much further with Google plus Amazon than just Google alone. Brad Mabry, are you there?
Hey, Mike, what's up?
Hey, man. What's the deal? Do you have to have a product of your own to have success with Amazon plus Google?
Not at all. I'm actually moving away from carrying any type of product in-house. It can be cumbersome at times. So, I've kind of began removing that entirely from my business model.
Oh, wow. So you're actually even going further and further away from having products. Well, can you tell people, again, this is an acceleration webinar, so we're going to give people the high-level idea in this particular case and not go into the step-by-step instructions. And then after this, we're going to bring Alex Gould. I'm really, really excited to talk to Alex about CPA. Maybe we can get Jimmy to talk a little bit about CPA as well, CPA and affiliate marketing. But how can you have so much success, because you've really had a lot of success, how can you have so much success on Amazon and leveraging Google to sell your Amazon products, and yet you don't even have hardly any products, and pretty soon you're not going to have any at all?
Correct. Yeah. Well, the biggest thing it comes down to is I'm all hung up on bigger margins. Lower margin stuff is good. You're selling this $63 product. You can make probably $20 on that. But I like selling close to $1,000 products. I was selling one product until I actually sold out of the guy's stock for the whole season recently.
Oh,
it's kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
I said, you got more coming? He's like, no, that's it for the season. But that was a $900 product, so I was making probably $300 a pop on that. And it didn't really, because the products are so heavy, it doesn't make sense to ship it to me than me to ship it out. So they're a lot more lenient on shipping it directly from their facility.
Yeah.
And you can make a lot more on each transaction, so you don't have to sit there and process orders all day.
Right. So that's something that's really cool, because at that point you're not dealing with FBA. You're certainly not dealing with shipping things yourself. You're just essentially, it's a lot like affiliate marketing, or almost the same thing as affiliate marketing. You're making your own affiliate program. So can you walk people through like a relatively specific example of this?
As far as finding a product?
Sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, if I have a product in mind, I'll either go to eBay or just use Google to find manufacturers. If I've got something, like I was looking at something to do with Bitcoins not too long ago. I didn't follow through with it, but I was typing in Bitcoin miner manufacturers on Google.
Right.
Just copy and paste email, send it out to them. That's an easy, free way to do it. Of course, if I'm just looking to make a new site and go with Amazon, in a completely different niche, I know nothing about it, I'll just browse through worldwide brands. I mentioned them in the training, and go pretty in depth into that, digging through there and what I look for. But I find them, and they've got the application form right on their vendor or their supplier page. So you just fill out your information, hit go, and if someone's interested, they'll get back with you. But I don't get too attached to anyone.
One of the things that we like to tell people inside of OMG is that really it's all connected. It's all connected. And for example, what you're doing with this is very similar to affiliate marketing. One way of calling it is drop shipping. But one of the things that you also do is you actually use this. Brad's a multiple streams of income guy, so he has clients. You rank for not Charleston, but was it Greensboro SEO, something like that?
Yeah. I've got three different listings there. So
for Greensboro SEO. Yeah, that's
correct,
awesome.
Yeah.
And by the way, Greensboro is just not the biggest city in America, so you can live in a small city and be number one or even just on page one with your city SEO, and it can really get you ahead. It's quite a neat thing. But anyways, you actually will form client relationships by going to people who have physical products. They're already taking all the time and effort to stock these physical products, and you're able to actually help them move their products on the internet.
Yeah, that's actually how I found that $900 product that I sold out for the season. he was.
Yeah, can you walk us through a bit about this? Was a car part, is that correct?
No, this was actually a summer product, like water sports type product. I don't
Oh,
want to.
okay. Yeah, sure,
Yeah,
sure,
I
sure.
want to kind of protect him, but yeah, I'd actually done a website for him a while ago, and he came back to me and needed some updates done. He was adding a new product, and I said, hey, since I've done the website for you, I've really dove deep into Amazon. I know I could move these. So I just threw them up on Amazon. I bought some ads in Amazon. That's easy and it's real cheap. It's a lot cheaper and easier than AdWords. Not that AdWords is difficult, but it can get expensive. So I just started buying ads and I started selling the crap out of them even before I got it ranked. And then I got it ranked, and that's when we sold out. So he really was selling to like surf shops at the beach and stuff like that, and he had no idea on how to set up a client, a supplier vendor relationship like this. So I just walked him through it. Essentially, I said, if I get an order, I'll send it to you, and I'll send you the money, and then ship it out. He said, sounds good to me. So I'd send him an email in the morning, and then he'd reply back, I love getting your emails when I wake up. So
No, that's awesome.
yeah, it really helped him out. I feel like it's going to help him take his business to the next level. He's pumped about next season.
Yeah, one of the things that we like to focus on a bit here, we do have our earnings reports, and you see a lot of those inside of Project X and inside of Project Juggernaut. We love that stuff. But also just seeing our clients have results and get success. Brad, you've really helped a lot of business owners have success. Of course, you've helped a lot of OMGers have success. Jimmy's done the same thing. Jimmy's helped so many people have success, friends and other business owners. And it's really inspiring. It really can be a lot of fun. The more versatility, the more power you have. Give me the number one if you really like the thought of not just having success yourself, not just making money yourself, but really realizing that you're affecting people's lives and really helping people. Just kind of curious this is great. It's a wonderful audience. Everyone's really active and fired up here. That's great. Okay, great. Brad, people can go, if you're not already a member of our Amazon Plus Community Mastermind, Brad is just a dervish inside of that. And Brad has a little page, bradmabry.org. Jimmy, would you pull bradmabry.org up really quick? This is just to help people introduce people to Brad. It's bradmabry.org. So there's jimmykelly.org and also bradmabry.org. Neither of these websites is associated financially with OMG. This is something that each of these guys has individually. I encourage them to put together because I think it's so valuable. But we don't financially participate in these pages, but they're great. There's additional coaching that you can get from Brad when it comes to this Amazon plus Google stuff as well. I highly recommend it, and you can find out about that at bradmabry.org. And Brad's got a module inside of your Project J or Project X members area on Amazon plus Google, and a module in your Blueprint on Amazon plus Google. Those are both extremely, extremely valuable. Brad, thank you so much for coming live tonight. I really appreciate it.
Hey, my pleasure, Mike. Anytime.